Well, and so it was that on this day, first day of the Festival of the Wheel, that Milford Brixton, child of Vaingate, fell sadly to his doom. Only his nearest companions would know and feel his loss, and they would not ever be able to speak of it. Hear now the tragedy of his story and his ultimate demise, how his companions helped him unwittingly to it. With the Baron Edryn Modkoff and the celestial warlock Leith of the Mistralath gone, both off studying at the libraries of Hemeth Tirith, the remaining three companions were to be mysteriously summoned from their apartments among the Temple of the Daughters of Twilight to meet with Aelar Telendaren, brother to Gudael Telendaren on the one hand, and a notable and powerful wizard whose talents have oft been put to work by their villainous father and the supreme commander of the Black Guard on the other. Thus it was that Aelar and Gudael hatched a rescue plan for their adopted brother Ren, whose name was now struck from the Telendaren family line and never to be spoken of again. To this end, Aelar offered a legend concerning the magical keys to the most secure and infamous prison in the world, keys which could facilitate the rescue attempt from the labyrinthine canals and islands hidden above Hemeth Tirith, the Sufferance. Seeking then after this story of magical keys, these 3 of 5 companions found their way into the High King Ivran Erathani's court as retainers among an envoy of matriarchal clerics and paladins, the Daughters of Twilight. Thus they entered, led by none other than Iolanthra Imdrael, Seneschal of the Solanor Temple, Vaingate herself. While Leith and Edryn remained in the libraries of Hemeth Tirith, Aelar's assistant Hamil guided the others, the dwarven rune knight Adrik Fogdar, the rebellious daughter and cleric of the Daughters of Twilight, Gudael Dala Telendaren, and the rogue Milford Brixton himself, through the pomp of the high elven palace, whereupon they witnessed a strange ceremony that had the Daughters of Twilight offering gifts and platitudes to the king in a bid for continued peace. Then quietly, during the ensuing festivities, the tiny envoy slipped away into the bowels of the ancient High Elven Basilica. Seeking out a precarious walkway on the edge of the palace, they found what they were looking for. Stretching out along a narrow path behind the roaring waters of the Highbrook Falls, hundreds of feet high, the companions uncovered the fabled secret door that Aelar had promised them. Entering now past ancient worn statues into the dark vestiges of an old and forgotten complex, the companions faced the horrifying undead guardians of the place. As they continued onwards into the subterranean maze, they would find that the astral howling of the Shadowfell nearby would begin to reverberate in their skulls, calling them onwards. Inside a gate produced of black stone, perhaps an eldritch shard of the Parkard comet that had once rent the world, split the sun in twain, and broke the Temple of the Moon into 7 orbiting palaces. And of the 3 companions, it was Milford Brixton who, despite his apparent immunity to the gate's power, was alone wholly brave enough to test the water of the pool of the last and final chamber. Even as Milford prepared his tether for the climb into the dark well, like a lamb to sacrifice, Adrik knew that the fractured reality of this place, with all colour drained from it, could only be one thing. Tying his tether tightly about himself now, and with Gudael and Adrik upon the other end securely, Milford lowered himself into the still pool, a pool which reflected a strange horizon and a shattered sky beyond. But the portal could not be secured. The tether could not sustain the weight of the universe and be held in 2 places at once by any mortal means. And thus Brixton was lost, cast into the land of the dead, the Shadowfell, a place from whence no mortal hath returned. Welcome to the Vaingate Chronicles. I'm Russell Kirkby, and these are the players. Barry Tahira, who has until now played Milford Brixton, Steve Austin as Leith Mistralath, Joanna Grotenhouse as Gudael Dala Telendaren, Max Easy as Edryn Modkoff, Michael Bates, Adrik Fogdar. and I'd like you to now have a look at underneath the stream. You'll see there's an about button, and down there you'll see amongst the various cloud of information there is a thing called Gaming for Charity, where you can click and you can go and donate money to the Auckland Starship Hospital for terminally ill children, kids with cancer, that type of stuff, things that we don't tend to think about in our lives. And feel free to donate anything from $1 upwards if you would, to those kids. So yeah, coming back to the game. So last week we had a week off, which was kind of a surprise. We had some technical issues, and we're coming back into it fresh with all of our players now, because 2 of our players have had other jobs on, paid jobs, the sort of money that I certainly can't provide them with. So obviously they've got to do stuff like that. So welcome back to Steve and Max, both of you. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for your patience.
No,
thank you.
You're welcome. So we've obviously had a bit of a tragedy in the ensuing game, but your characters are not aware of this yet. So at the beginning here, where we shall begin, Edryn and Leith, you're currently in your apartments at the Daughters of Twilight Temple in Hemeth Tirith, the High Elven capital. These are the same apartments. There's like 6 rooms in a circle around a courtyard with an apple tree growing out through the ceiling. And you guys have been off studying various things, and you may be coming back from the libraries at this point, late in the afternoon, maybe even somewhere into the night now, maybe sort of 8 o'clock at night, something like that. You've heard the festivities going on all day. You've heard jousting happening, you've heard the people returning from the hunts of the day, because there's been this big festival, the Festival of the Wheel. On the way back, returning from the library, you've seen this huge pavilion go past you, these huge amount of people traveling past you, and people on stilts, and all sorts of jesters and clowns and bards playing music, and they drag this huge Annam Strike, one of the biggest Annam Strikes you've seen, and you've actually seen Annam Strikes, which is kind of surprising. This massive coin, it's about 8 feet across in diameter, this huge gold coin studded with gems the size of, like, they're huge, like this, massive gems. I can't even liken them to something. And this is terribly impressive, and they're surrounded by black guards, obviously, because they're not going to let anybody get their hands on this stuff. And it gets taken through the city and then back out to the palace. And you eventually get back to your rooms, where you have some privacy. And at long last, you close the door behind you. Dum. There is silence.
I'm sorry, Mr. Edryn. I feel we may have distracted ourselves from celebration out there. I'm sure you would have wanted some libations if you were if we were aware.
Oh no, it's fine. I haven't had a good trip to a library in a long time, and it's been good to study up again. And it's a festival, right? It's going to last another day or something. I'm sure if we need to get our fix in, we can jump in halfway.
Well, I'm not really want much to partake, but yes, of course it is. Yeah, still to keep going. You're quite right. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, but long day. My eyes are they red? I feel like I've been reading for hours.
Yes, it has been a very full day of reading.
Yes.
Was there anything in specific that you found out that might be of interest?
Well, apparently, I think it was the palace. Iolanthian. Is that right?
Imdrali?
Imdrali. The palace. Thank you, Imdrail. The palace was built on a site originally kind of for the purpose of a cult to the Raven Queen, the Raven Queen. And there may or may not have been some sort of doorway to it. That's a little bit here and there in the texts, but also there might be something behind a waterfall, the big waterfall. There might be some sort of chasm linked to. It talks about keys, but I'm not entirely sure what it means by. I mean, like, I don't know if it's the keys for the sufferance or something else. It says something about elemental keys, but I'm not entirely sure what that means.
Well, yes, I did come across something akin to elemental keys. That there are 4 elemental keys involved, and that they each contain 2 parts.
Right.
One's a physical item, and the other something verbal. I'm not sure of much more beyond that, but I kept coming across references to it.
Well, let's hope this is in the regards to the Mythal, correct?
I believe so. Yes.
The Mythal, rather, not the Mythal.
The Mythal.
Yes.
Yes. Mythal is something quite different.
Yes. That's good. That's interesting. At least we've got a starting point. We've got I think quite a good collection of knowledge now on Mythal and the palace and the waterfall.
I think so. Yes.
So I think.
And this waterfall, you believe, is going to lead us to Ren?
It says it had some sort of relation to the 4 keys, and I'm not entirely sure what it wasn't entirely clear, so I'm not sure if it's going to lead us to somewhere. Yes.
So Edryn, amongst the collection of documents that you've found, and you're still translating some of them, and that's part of the problem, is the translations are from very old Elvish, and so trying to understand what they're saying, and these references to these elemental keys are quite obscure. And as I say, there was this etching that you found, this copy of an etching with this figure and profile holding up this physical object that may or may not have been one of these keys that have components, both verbal and physical components to these keys. So yeah.
Okay. There was also an etching. They had a man or a person, some sort of figure with holding something up. That could be in relation to the key. Yes, I'm not sure whether the. I think it'd be good to go have a look at the waterfall. I'm not sure if we would need a key to get through the waterfall, or the waterfall has got something to do with the key.
So this is.
It's very obscure. It's hard translating.
This is potentially
Elvish.
an entrance to the sufferance. Is that right? Or
it's not entirely clear.
You think that these are the keys, that this will give you access to the keys to the sufferance, but it might not be an entrance to the sufferance per se.
It'd be some sort of the first step in gaining our entry. Whether it would be directly to it or not is neither here nor there, but at least be the first step towards, I think, achieving these keys.
Now, Adrik and Gudael, you have just left the location that you were last at, and you're traveling back now to your apartments. And you reach the Daughters of Twilight complex high above Hemoth Tirith in the religious part of the city. The clerics and what have you are about. You see Iolanthra's guard on watch outside. And you... How are you feeling right now?
I think Adrik's been mostly quiet on the way back. The only thing he really did of note was, as we left the tomb, he picked up the Wraith's broken crown and ruby on the way back. That's about it. He feels like he's betrayed Brixton. He feels every bit as useless as he did when he took Zarya into the Stoneborn vault.
Right, so for those of you in the audience, Zarya was Adrik's child, born stone, stillborn as a dwarven child. Is often born as a stone here in Sidariel due to a curse that was put upon the dwarves. And so he lost his child, and so he's referring to that. Gudael, how are you feeling as you return to the apartments?
Gudael's feeling quite shell-shocked, because she's obviously grown up quite privileged, and I don't think she's ever, until recently, had much loss in her life. Anyone who's died has been very old. She's been quite sheltered from everything, really. So first her brother being put in the sufferance, and now this, it's quite new to her to have things happen that can't be undone.
Right. Makes sense, yeah. Well, you arrive back at the apartments, and any time now you can interrupt Steve and Adrik, should I say Leith and Adrik, with their conversation with a knock at the door when you feel it's appropriate. Okay? So Leith and Edryn, back to you guys.
Well, yes, I do feel that that perhaps we're onto something with this key.
Yes.
I do also happen to know that well, I believe that Ren knew that he was going to be taken.
What? Oh, how? What? Tell me more. Like, what spurs this insight?
Well, I was with Verdania last night, and she told me that he hid an item. He hid his sword. She kept referring to the sorrow, and I thought she was like talking in some sort of metaphor or something, but he apparently used to carry a sword called Sorrow, which I don't know if it's some sort of powerful weapon or something like that, but I suspect we probably need to get that back to him if we're going into the sufferance to find him.
Yes. Would you think perhaps he would have kept it in his chambers or at a contact?
Adrik knocks on the door and gingerly walks in.
Well, Edrik, hello.
Oh, good evening.
Gudael's in as well.
Good evening, boys. How are you doing?
We're quite well, thank you.
Yes.
Tired. We've been, yes, a little bit taxed on the brain, but we've found out quite a bit, I think, that should be relevant. I hope is relevant.
I think it's I think Leith has done quite a good job at finding out bits of information that I think is going to be very helpful to getting Ren and keeping Ren out as well.
Yes, I think you should probably start, Mr. Edryn, because you have the pertinent information.
Edryn and Leith, can you both make insight checks, please?
Russell, is there like an open decanter of like wine on a table somewhere around there or something?
Sure.
Leith is busy being completely oblivious because he's
We both got nat ones.
Oh, really?
Despite my pretty decent insight, I rolled a nat one. We're
awesome,
just so. I think we're like conspiracy theorists. We're like we've broken something open.
For Leith, a little bit. He's a bit loved up as well. So he's like trying to be all florid and floral and like concentrating on like being cool, and is completely like just wrapped up in thinking about Verdania and thinking about what he's found out in the last 24 hours.
While they're talking, Adrik makes his way over to the wine, and gently, with shaking hands, pours 4 goblets full. He makes his way first to, on a tray to Dala. Here, you first.
So,
And
Mr.
walks over to the boys. Gentlemen.
Oh.
If you'd
Oh,
Thank you. Very kind.
lovely. Thank you very much. Oh,
I'd ask you to sit down. Please
all right.
take a seat.
Okay.
Okay.
Take a seat.
Sure.
I am the bearer of terrible news. While you boys were at the library, myself, Dala, and Brixton met up with Aelar. He gave us a note and some information that led us beneath the palace. We investigated, and it led us into a dark place steeped in evil magic, full of the undead and worse. We made our way to the very end of the tomb. We found a hole in the universe and something very familiar. We found a well that led elsewhere. How familiar are you with the Shadowfell? Now, don't answer, just keep it in mind as I finish. Now, Brixton felt that since we could find no answer to the riddle of the key in this final room of the tomb, that the best way to go forward was to investigate. We tied a rope around his waist, and myself and Dala braced ourselves to lower him safely into the pool. He went in, and the rope could not withstand it. The pool was in fact a portal to the Shadowfell. But there was nothing we could do. Before I could catch him, he was gone. And Adrik sculls his wine.
Milford fell into the...
He fell
into
into
the
the Shadowfell. Aye.
Well, then we must go and get him.
I'd like to believe that
No.
Brixton is still alive.
No, we must.
What?
How much do you know about the Shadowfell?
Enough to know that it's a dangerous place, but there must be a way to get him back. Surely. And Leith looks at both Gudael and Adrik. Surely.
If there's a way, it belongs to the gods that abandoned Brixton, or in the oldest tomes of a library. If it exists at all. else, we could go portal jumping ourselves.
Possibly never to return.
Adrik walks over to Leith and puts a hand on his knee. I know, lad. It's hard. And it hurts. And I don't know if you've lost someone before. I've lost a great many people. And the ache never leaves. You just learn to live with it. You learn to weave a patchwork of pain around yourself, and you hold it tight. You hold memories close.
Milford would have known the dangers. Would have known how to keep himself safe. Surely.
What could you do against the weight of two worlds crashing into each other?
Oh, you fool bastard. I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything. Rest. Take your time. Take your time to think about it, cope. And when you have words, I'm here to listen.
I should have been there.
Should have.
I should have told him not to go.
And Brixton wouldn't have listened. He lived and died by his own rules, and he wouldn't let a world, a universe, a god, or a dwarf tell him otherwise.
He would have listened to me.
If that brings you peace, lad, believe it. Edryn, how are you doing?
I think I might go for a walk.
Would you like some company?
If you'd care to come along, you're more than welcome. But I think if you'd also like to stay behind and keep Leith company.
I'll stay. I don't think any of us should be completely alone right now.
Thank you, Dala. I'll have a walk with Edryn. I could use the air.
So, I've started a rewards and challenges. So if you have divinity and you're in the audience and you would like to contribute towards the potential resurrection of Milford Brixton, you can spend your divinity as a member of the pantheon of Sidariel's divine beings towards this goal, which will cost 15,000 divinity. So that gives a small chance of hope for Milford Brixton's return. And I have created a 14-day limit to this challenge. So basically you've got 2 weeks to raise that amount of divinity, at which point you can potentially resurrect Milford Brixton. In the meantime, I'm going to turn Milford's nameplate off on the stream, which I'll do over the next few minutes. Not to make Barry not have a nameplate, but because he's not currently representing Milford Brixton. He will, however, be playing a different character over the next game or two, depending on how long this goes on for and what actually happens. It could be for a short period or for a long period, we shall see. That is yet to be determined. But the return of Milford Brixton is in the hands of the audience now, and one can only hope for his sake. So there you go. All right, I will return to my tasks as the players return to their scene.
I think, on that, Adrik walks to the door, and he opens it and gestures to Edryn.
Thank you.
We'll be back shortly. And he follows him.
Right. So where are you going?
Adrik's just following Edryn to make sure he's okay. Adrik's had a bit more time to come to terms with this.
Right.
How far away is the library?
How far away is the library? Oh, well, there's a library. There's several libraries. There's the Arcane District Library, which is actually under guard. It's difficult to get into. You might be able to get in there with assistance from Darla and her family, but otherwise pretty much banned to the public.
Yeah.
There's the various clerical libraries. There's the Library of the Daughters of Twilight. There's the public libraries, which is where you've been, and various private libraries also, which you could potentially track down. Over the last day or so, you've been primarily in the Daughters of Twilight's own libraries. So that particular library is fairly close because you're staying in their complex in Hemeth Tirith.
Start strolling towards that with Adrik.
Okay. All right. Well, you get to the library. Now it is coming up to nighttime shortly.
Yes.
All right. And you get to the library, and there are some guards outside the library. Some ladies in plate armor and with footmen's lances and swords at their back, shields on their shoulders, and they stand outside with their plumed helmets, the Daughters of Twilight, and they stop you. One steps forward. Hold, sir. Who might you be?
Edryn Montkov, this is my compatriot, Edrik Fogdar. We're here with Lady Gudael Talandaran, I believe. I was in here with Mr. Mistralath.
Earlier today.
Yes. When does the library close?
Technically, I should say the library is closed, but there are some scholars presently studying for important exams.
Right. Oh, very good, very good. In that case, I shall maybe return upon the morrow.
Yeah, not to pester you too much. Could we perhaps walk in for some late night reading? We've had some distressing news, and we could use the solace of a good book.
Can you make a persuasion check, please, Adrik?
I sure can. Woo-wee. That's a tasty 13.
A tasty 13. A tasty 13. It's not a gentleman's 13, for there is no bonuses.
It certainly is.
So it is merely a tasty 13.
It is tasty. It is the Ritz cracker of dice rolls.
Right.
I can get behind that.
The guard, she cracks a smile at you, Adrik, like a small, just the corner of her lip, like her facade cracks just very slightly. And she says, I should like to help you, sir. I'm sure whatever news that you've had has been harrowing, no doubt, but we do have our rules. Perhaps if you were to return with Lady Gudael, she would carry the weight that would be necessary for me to persuade my superiors that the decision was the correct one.
Understood. Well, thank you for humoring me.
Yes,
Of course. She nods back to you.
Should we start strolling back, I suppose?
Edrik is trying to spy a low window.
If in doubt, break in.
I mean, I've got even a high window. It's like it's actually not an issue.
Someone could give you a boost.
I could just giantify. So in you go.
Giantify and just go through the window. Yes. But
You don't see any really easy entrances or egresses that you
How
think
about a
would be...
difficult one that I could potentially lob a portly wizard through?
That you're talking about very dangerous activities now. You're
talking about Cirque du Soleil, so
there's some Cirque du Soleil there. There's
Cirque du Soleil.
There's some potential falling damage involved. There's some potential hitting the wall damage involved. There's some potential getting caught by the guards damage involved, and some potential being locked up in the sufferance.
That's... Hey, wait.
Is that your way in? Is it? That's going to be your way to...
It's the way in. It's part of the long con.
It's one thing.
Okay.
It's one thing to get into the sufferance.
fails-
It's a lot harder to get out. That's the problem.
If all else fails, I'll break into a library to get into the sufferance.
Right.
Perhaps
The other option is to do what the guard suggested. That just that. But
I listen to authority. Do you know Adrik Fogdar?
right.
I don't know. Milford dies, and then everybody tries to do his thing.
Now, speaking of Milford, you're obviously not there, but Orikaw, however, is. And Orikaw, you've been summoned by your lord, who you know who that is, and your lord has sent you to the Daughters of Twilight complex to seek out Lady Gudael Dala Talandaran, who's a family name you're very familiar with from the work that you have done. And so you find your way to the Daughters of Twilight. You've been given a pass to get here. It's a very special pass because normally traveling around Hemoth Tirith for you is not always the most comfortable or easy thing to do. Everybody gives you the side eye as you come into the temple, and you walk through there, and you're kind of used to that. You've been here for a better part of a decade now, on and off in Hemoth Tirith, and you go into the Daughters of Twilight. You've never actually been into this temple before, and it is opulent in a way that you've never seen in your life. It's terribly impressive. And you are led by a very nervous-looking elven boy of about, you don't know how old he is, but if he was a human, he would be about 14 or something, 14, 15, but as an elf, he must be several decades older than that. And this boy takes you to this door. Now, your mission, per se, has been... You've got two things that you have to do. First of all, your objective is to protect Dala from all threats. That's your job. That's what they've sent you for. Your second job is to keep her out of trouble.
Sorry.
Why not just give me the impossible and be done with it?
Right. But at the end of the day, your final objective is to do whatever it is that she tells you to do. You're her servant from here on. Okay, so I'm assuming at some point there will be a knock at the door. Do you think this is before or after Adrik and Edryn return back to the apartments?
Edryn is going to have a little chat with Adrik, so it can be whenever you like.
Okay.
It's before they get back.
Okay. All right.
We'll be having a chin wag in the alley outside.
All right. So they're having a bit of a chin wag in the alley outside. Very good. In which case, then, Orikaw, you get to the apartment door, and you are now compelled to knock.
Okay, so Gudael's been showing Leith the things that she'd painted down in the waterfall room.
Right, in the tomb.
Yeah.
Right.
So she goes, "Oh, these are quite secret." And she shuffles them and maybe stashes them in the bag of
What
holding.
have you been? What are these of?
They were. It seems to be arcana of some sort. I can't understand it, but it's potentially very important for the keys.
Oh,
It's-
I, I think there's someone at the door.
Okay.
We should perhaps talk about this later.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yes.
Okay. Act normal.
All right, who opens the door?
It's rather difficult in these current circumstances.
Indeed, it is. But, well, yes, we can't let anyone know about Erdan.
Orikaw, yeah.
Oh, okay. Hello. Oh. May I help you?
So you
lady.
So you did open the door.
I've opened the door, yes.
Okay, standing before you was this enormous figure, half orc, massive tusks on his face, warrior, two-handed sword at his side, hanging over across his back, chainmail armor. He has markings of both elven kind and of some other culture which you assume to be some orcish symbology on his garb as well.
Okay. Gudael's fighting the urge to shut the door again.
Gudael, can you make a wisdom perception check, please?
Wisdom perception.
Orikaw, in your hand is a scroll, a letter, a seal. How's your wisdom perception? How did that go?
It looks to
17.
be 12 plus 5, yeah.
Yep, 17. Okay, so you notice immediately, Orikaw, Gudael, you notice your family's symbols on his tunic.
Oh.
Who's there?
It appears to be someone from my father. Can I help you, sir?
Me, Orikaw. Me come to see Lady Talendaran.
Oh, yes, that is me.
Me give you this.
Oh. What is it?
From your father, have no idea. But from your father.
So you open the scroll up, and basically it describes the fact that this person standing before you, Orikaw, he is to be your gifted indentured servant.
Oh.
Yeah.
How curious.
There's not really a lot of explanation about it, but it's you're not really sure why your father would do this. I mean, obviously there's current circumstances. Maybe he's trying to placate you over other situations.
Well, Orikaw, would you like to come in?
He brings his head down and comes through the door.
Okay. So you step inside.
Who are you?
Me, Orikaw?
Orikaw, this is Leith, Mr. Leith. He's a companion of mine.
Big hand reaches out to shake yours.
Hello.
Hello.
You will forgive me for being a little bit I'm sorry. I've had a bit of bad news, just a little bit.
Be sorry to hear bad news.
A very good friend is, well,
You owe no explanation to Orikaw.
You're quite right. Yes. Excuse me. And Leith just crawls under the covers of the bed, although he doesn't need it, and like, I need to sleep.
Okay, so like to be clear, he's come in through the door to the complex, right? 6 apartments
Oh,
with the courtyard.
I thought we were in our rooms.
Oh, you might have been in your room.
Ah,
Maybe Gudael, I don't know how you got in there, but okay. However it works. Yes, but.
okay. Please, excuse me. I need some room to think. It's not no slight on you. I just need
No
some space.
explanation necessary. You do what must do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So, Leith, not Leith, Adrik and Edryn. I get their names confused, all of you guys. You all look so similar.
Oh.
Adrik and Edryn, you're on your way back from the library.
The
I mean, unless you're really intent on climbing in there somehow.
no,
Adrik.
no. Adrik, the well, the portal, the thing, Brixton. That I doing some research found that the palace had been built on a site, obviously, for that purpose, and call it human optimism. But I hope, I'm thinking maybe there's something else in the libraries that could give us a foresight and able to. It's pure off of what you said. You said, you know, if there is a way to bring them back, it's in some ancient libraries, and I thought,
Hey, it's fine. You're allowed to hope. Don't be ashamed of it. You're right. If there is a chance, it's squirreled away in some tome at the back of the library. So, don't you worry about that. If we can bring him back, we will.
yes.
Of that, I have no doubt.
How are you? I mean, obviously, Leith. How are you?
Better. Better than I was a few hours ago. It was
Right.
difficult. And I only realized halfway through the room we lost Brixton. It felt like the tomb I put Zarya in. I don't know what that means, but the two felt very similar, so it unhinged me a wee bit. But I'm better, thank you.
And right,
Gudael was much better put together than I was, I'll tell you that.
right. Yes, I should probably check in and see how she's. Elves don't. I mean, they have their elongated lives and
Hey, well, it's less
youthful
shocking for
look.
them.
I'm also aware that elves have a essentially cyclical afterlife, and I would like to know what that would entail for a half-elf like Brixton.
I believe that question's largely philosophical, dear Edryn.
That's fair.
Though, I mean, the best people to ask are the Daughters of Twilight, I suppose.
True. Yes. It's yeah. I had a little bit of fun with him the other other day when we went exploring into the back rooms that we shouldn't have been exploring, and Leith came in and I started doing all the spooky ghost noises, and
Hey, that was a good memory. We don't get much time to each other and to ourselves, and for dwarves as well, but more so for humans, I imagine. Life is short, and the good moments that you share with people, they're all too fleeting.
Yes, I know that all too well, and the moments you don't want to be fleeting last a bloody lifetime. But, was I thinking?
Do you want to break into that library?
I think we should, as much as I do want to give into my more youthful whims, I think, we should take stock.
Hey, that's probably smart.
Of our, I had something I wanted to tell you. I've absolutely just,
Was it about the room with the well?
No, it was about Brixton.
Aye. Before I so terribly interrupted you.
No, it wasn't you. I was still trying to wrap my head around it. I'll get there. I'll get there. I think it's all just a bit shocking.
Pats his hand. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere.
It's a bit shocking. I think I had. Yes. All right. I think we should return. I'd like to
sort your thoughts out, and then we'll chat again.
We'll go in to see Gudael and Leith then, see how they're getting on.
All right. So you return back to the apartments, and you are shown to your door by the usual servant. And as you enter into the actual apartment complex of your 6 rooms with your courtyard and your apple tree, there standing in the center of the courtyard with Gudael and Leith now. Or Leith's actually, he's hiding in bed right now, isn't he? Gudael then, I guess, by herself, in conversation with this enormous figure who may turn and see you as you come through the door. I'm assuming Orikaw turns when he hears the door open.
Probably.
Yes, he stands in front of Gudael.
Okay.
Gudael's arranged for food because she was worried about Orikaw being hungry, so she's got a.
Right.
There's a bit of a spread out there with them.
Okay, so one of the servants has come with a trolley or a tray rather, and laid out some food for the group. So there's a table now covered with light refreshments and food, some light elven wine, some elven bread, and various biscuits and sort of other stuff there. So Adrik and Edryn, you're confronted by this enormous half-orc with a 2-handed sword, wearing chain armor.
Oh, bloody there. 9 hells.
Hello, I'm behind here. Orikaw, these are my friends. This is Adrik Fogdar, and
nice to meet you.
And this is Sir Edryn Montcoff.
I take out my hand and say in Orcish, "It's a pleasure to meet you."
He says in Orcish back, "Very good Orcish, no accent."
It's hard to have an accent when you don't come from anywhere. We're just laughing after speaking.
And
gibberish.
so, very, very pleased to meet you. And Orcish is like, "I see you."
Edryn, you are so full of surprises. I did not realize you spoke Orcish so well.
Yes, it was something I thought I should pick up. I had a little bit of a dream of being somewhat of a archaeologist of sorts as a boy.
Oh, very good. Orikaw is he's something of a gift. And she hands over the scroll to Edryn and Adrik to examine. Orikaw, how long have you known my father?
Ooh,
7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
You've been in the service that long?
Yes.
Right. And what exactly is it that you do, Orikaw?
Him get me to do many things.
I see.
Right. And I'd just like to point out, is that a phrase? Just like to reiterate that Barry Tahira, who is currently playing Orikaw, does not have a nameplate right now because his main character, Milford Brixton, has just died very recently. And if you go down to your divinity button at the bottom of your chat, if you're here in the audience, you can click on that little infinity symbol, and you'll notice that there's a resurrection button that says 14 days left, 0% raised. 0% raised. This is your opportunity to try and help resurrect.
No,
Mr. Brixton.
there's 2,000 just
13%.
gone in.
Bang, just like
Fuck off
that.
they have.
Right there.
13%.
Thank you, Coral. Just Coral.
Thank you, Just Coral.
Legendary.
Thank you, Coral.
We're so much closer.
Thank you
Right.
very much.
26% raised, 4,000. Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, boy.
We're talking. You guys
I
are
think you might have set
awesome.
this a little bit low, Russell.
And
Right.
Sharkity Shark Bums. Thank you.
Wow.
Where are we? How do we look at this stuff? It's not coming up on my screen.
Doing it on my phone, I cannot see a
You
thing.
can't see a thing? Well,
I'll take your word for it.
you
I'll
take my
your
word for it. We're at, I think it's
Yeah.
26% right now.
Hey.
26%. So just keep reminding me to, bring this up, or bring this up yourselves, players. You can do that too. You can address the audience at, when you feel fit to do so. All right, let's continue.
Other end of the spectrum, as everybody's talking, you suddenly hear this. Coming from the bed.
Oh, Leith's taking it really not so well.
As we expected. The portal ad just needs time.
Yes. I might go just check up on. I'll be back.
Thank
I
you.
go into
Edryn.
Leith's room, and Tup is pattering behind me.
Right, so Tup is your badger currently?
Apparently Badger, yes.
Right. All right. So the badger comes wandering in and climbs up on you, Leith, up on the bed.
Badger.
Yeah. Tup.
Tup.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Tub.
Yes, I thought you'd like a little bit of
Oh,
cuddly company.
hello, Tub.
I think he quite misses Brixton too.
I feel like I wasn't there to save him.
Well,
This is my fault.
no, Leith, it's causality. It's we both, neither of us were there, and I mean, Brixton almost single-handedly decided to take on the greatest heist in Vaingate history. He then decided to take on, with help, again, trying to break into the stuff. The man was a bull. The man was a stubborn bull, brilliant, dexterous, very clever, but a stubborn man. And I don't think I don't
Got
think
that
either
right
of us,
about him. Very much.
I don't think either of us would have. I mean, with Gudael, who, he just respected, and Adrik, who is himself a force of nature. I don't think having us there would have turned him about, at least willingly. And I think us having been elsewhere, we did work. We found out about the keys and the portal and the waterfall, and I think that can be positive towards Ren, but that may also be positive towards getting Brixton back. I don't want to be overly optimistic or put in false hope, but I mean,
No,
it's.
I appreciate your thoughts, Edryn.
Yes, it's.
I
Yeah.
I just feel awful.
Yes, that as Edrik says, that doesn't tend to go away, but you start to realize yes, as he said, it knits around and you kind of build up walls and other stuff you do to stop getting, but
What?
I'm not exactly
How can you be so careless?
I'm not. You.
This was our friend.
Yes. And it's. I will, obviously, if we cannot get him back, we can't. I will miss him very dearly, but I want to wait. I want to see. I want to make sure there isn't anything I can do before I give myself over to. I mean, I was exactly where you are half an hour ago when they first told us, and then Adrik said something and it sparked in me, and I just thought that's maybe my own stupid human way of dealing with another loss, another friend or another loved one just kind of gone to time. Yes.
Oh.
Can I interject there? Just where is everybody right now? Leith, you were in the bed, right?
Yep.
Edryn, are you standing in the doorway having this conversation, or are you?
No, I want to come over. Maybe sat on the bed. Thought, oh no, I'm gonna break it. I'll stand up.
Okay.
And just be kind of like
flimsy elven
over
beats, eh?
him. Maybe he'll bend down a bit and go, no, that's not working either. I'll get a chair.
All right. Well, okay. So Adrik, Gudael, and Orikaw.
So Leith's kind of got the bedclothes up around his neck, and he's
Right.
patting up, and Edryn's kind of awkwardly shifting around the room.
He'll be pacing. He's 100%
Right.
pacing.
Right.
He's not
That
he doesn't sit still when he thinks.
Okay. So can I
Yeah.
get wisdom perception checks from everybody, please? So just a
15.
standard perception checks.
Tasty. That was a gentleman's 15.
Wow. Orikaw gets a 21.
God damn.
Mine's a little baby's
Damn.
14.
Little baby's 14.
Gudael's a bit overwhelmed with Orikaw. I think she's trying to figure out what's going on and not doing so well.
Okay. So Orikaw, with your 21, does anyone else get anything vaguely approaching that?
Adrik, the closest one I think is that Gudael's 17.
Leith's got a 14. Okay.
Oh, no,
I got
8,
a
sorry.
Gudael's a 17.
I got a 15.
A 15. Okay. Well, what some of you can choose who notices this. But yes, a blackbird, a raven, comes and lands on the tree and starts nibbling at the apples again. There's another tiny little budding apple that's just begun to pop out of a bud, and this raven comes down and it's got its eye on it and it starts walking along the branch towards this little budding red apple.
I can't decide if this is a metaphor and I should throw my axe at it or something.
What is that, Adrik?
So Adrik's just watching that bird. What's that? That's quite poignant, isn't it?
What's quite poignant?
The blackbird having
Wow.
going for that apple.
Ah, those blackbirds, eh? Why do they keep doing that to the tree?
Yeah, because they need to eat.
They don't let the apples grow.
Well, a tree can't fend for itself. Easy pickings. That's kind of nature.
You know, the last time that happened was before we went into that cave with Milford.
Alright, so next time we see that black bird, we kill it.
That would be my instinct, yes.
Right, well, next time. Well, how far away is the bird? Could Gudael like shoot a lightning bolt at it or something?
You can see the bird sitting on the inside of the roof, this kind of the elven tiled edge of the roof that comes down around the edge of the rectangular courtyard that you're standing inside of, with the tree growing up through the roof. And so the bird is sitting essentially on what you would consider in modern times to be a gutter that rims the inside of that gap. It's sitting near the corner, chomping on the apple. And then it drops the seed, and it lands in the dirt patch near your feet, Adrik.
No, I think we should leave it. And Adrik kneels down and he just pushes it in, the seed into the dirt.
Okay. Orikaw, what are you doing over the course of this conversation? You've seen all of this. Orikaw sees all.
Lady Talandaran,
Yes, Orikaw?
I have been instructed the word to make sure you do not get hurt. I have been instructed to do as you say when you say what to do.
I see. Did my father tell you much about me?
He told me keep you out of trouble.
Did he tell you that I'm a highly trained cleric?
Did him tell me?
Did he tell you? He told you that she has spent time with the Daughters of Twilight, and that she is training to become a priestess, and she is wont to be a rebel, and perhaps to put things nicely, she sometimes looks into things that should not be looked into, and you might want to sort of try and divert her attention from things that might get her in trouble. Anything to do with the Black Guard, probably she shouldn't be looking into that sort of stuff. She should basically avoid he wants you to help her avoid looking into anything to do with Ren, her brother, who is locked up in the Sufferance right now. The prison, the Sufferance.
Is he paying me?
Is he paying
Or
you?
is she paying me?
Nobody's paying you. You're an indentured servant.
Oh.
You get fed, and you get a certain amount of status, and you get...
And that means I can make decisions of my own.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Him tell me you get in trouble lots of time, and him tell me that you not looking, me stop you from looking in brother in jail, in the Sufferance.
Oh, he did he?
Mm-hmm. But
Apparently you send a blunt instrument.
me decide, me work for you.
Oh, that was easy.
Me,
Perhaps too easy.
Well,
you think so? I would think so too. But me, Orikaw, me like to get to point. No, as you say, beat around the bushes. Me not good at that.
I like you, Orikaw. You're going to be fast friends, I can tell.
Ha, ha. So, if want to talk about things and don't want Orikaw to know, tell Orikaw leave room.
That seems fair. So, shall we discuss our next move?
So Orikaw leave room?
Perhaps. Yeah, keep watch on the outside for the moment, if that's all right with your new employer.
Lady Talondarin?
You know what, Orikaw? I'll show you to your room because we have 6 rooms here. You can have the 6th one here. Hopefully the bed will be suitable.
Orikaw,
And
you're used
you
to
can
sleeping...
make yourself.
Sorry, Orikaw, you're used to sleeping on the floor anyway.
I sleep on floor.
Oh, it should be fine. I tested it with my giant form. It's fine.
As you see, me 8 feet tall.
Oh, look at you, little one.
Not many beds fit me. So, Lady Talondarin want me to go to room, huh?
Go and make yourself comfortable for a few minutes. Please, Orikaw.
Okay. He goes off to find a room.
So
Can you believe it? I can't believe it. Sends a babysitter for me.
Your old man doesn't quite know you as well as he should. But
Well, or maybe he knows me too well, and he realizes that looking into where Ren is exactly what I want to do.
he also doesn't know quite how capable you are, clearly. Or how trustworthy his retainers are.
It's so bizarre. The last time he had a half-orc in his employ, it was the Haggy who... She was something of a nursemaid, and I thought that the Talondarans weren't allowed to have any more half-orcs. Perhaps that was a lie he told me.
You weren't allowed. Well, why wouldn't you? Well, I mean, it's slavery, whatever, but why wouldn't you be allowed?
Well, I don't know. I was quite young, but the insinuation was made that it was my fault that she went away, and it was something of a mark against us as a family that we couldn't hang on to our servants.
All right, that's clearly one's better for the other. That's fine. We've got a fifth pair of hands that we could likely use on our way forward. And who knows, he might be able to succeed where we failed.
Ding, 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 outside the door.
I'll get
what?
it.
Thank you.
Adrik goes and... Hello?
It is me, Aelar.
Oh. Come on in.
I see. Oh, Orikaw.
My lord.
Oh,
well.
do you know him, Aelar?
We've met on occasion, yes. Briefly. You are our father's man, are you not, Orikaw?
No, now he's my man. Apparently he's been gifted to me.
Ah, interesting. I wonder what that was
Interesting.
about.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what it's about.
Oh,
It's about having a pair of eyes on me at all times.
I thought that's what I was here for. How did your mission go?
You've likely got too many opinions to be his eyes at all times.
That's...
So he needed a more blunt instrument, so to speak.
I
Too many
see.
eyes.
Well, so how did your mission go? Where's Brixton?
Brixton didn't make it.
What?
You've not been in there, have you?
No, of course not. That's why I sent you.
Well, we went behind the waterfall into a tomb.
So the tomb was real? You found the secret passage?
Oh, we did.
What was in there?
Several undead.
Undead?
I don't know. One was wearing this crown. He pulls out the broken crown.
What is this?
Someone want me
Yes.
to go to room?
No, you're fine. You're fine, Orikaw. Just you're fine. Don't worry. Broken crown, clearly something. Who cares? Puts it away. And we got to the end, and there was 2 portals to the Shadowfell. One beyond the doorway, and the other a well.
2 portals.
Aye.
Interesting.
Arranged around the room were 5. One rock in the middle, which was uncomfortable to be around, and 4 obelisks, and on the obelisks, in giant, it said, "Fire, water, air, and earth,"
Ah,
with holes in them.
perhaps.
And I made these copies of the other elven script. And Gudael passes the papers over.
Right. So, the Edryn and Leith, you've hear this other elf in the room now. By the way, in just outside of Leith's room in the courtyard.
If you want to stay, you're welcome to. I might go see. But if you need anything, Leith, I know I'm not exactly probably the best person emotionally to talk to, but I suppose after Brixton, we've known each other the longest.
I do feel like you've been something of a help, so I do appreciate your words. Thank you. And Leith sits up and like gets out of the bed. I think I just need to get myself together and move forward with this, with Milford in my heart, and just carry him with me, and maybe we can bring him back in some way,
Yes, and I hope whatever they're talking about
somehow.
in there might be able to get him back to us. So I'm eager to hear what they have to say for this spooky room,
Yes.
this tomb.
Mistralath.
Oh,
Mistralath,
yes, my liege.
your friend. He is beyond you now.
Yes.
You cannot touch him. You cannot help Brixton. Where he is now is beyond your reach.
But is there no other way?
Move forward.
Yes, my lord.
Only the gods, the celestials, only the divine beings of Sidariel can save that child of Vaingate now.
Yes, you're quite right.
Return to the world, Mistralath. You have no choice,
Yes, my lord.
and there is much to do. Your destiny awaits you.
Thank you. Thank you. I should stop wallowing in my own misery.
The presence recedes. And I'd very much like to commend you for that lighting effect. That was very cool. I
wish I had the actual light switch closer as well. I'd like turn off the lights and pull that forward and just be like.
At first, I thought it was just an accident, and then I realized this is Steve we're talking about. That was not an accident.
I had pulled my ring light forward.
Wow.
Can I just go for a few minutes?
I'm all about the theatrics, man.
Of course, Barry. Okay, so Orikaw relieves himself. He's going to go and relieve himself.
Leith, are you
Well,
You're right.
at least
Powder
he
his
has the
nose.
politeness to do so.
Yes.
He doesn't
He
just
just
like drop his load on the floor.
He could just go on the side of the tree. There's a tree right here.
Oh my god!
He just like lifts
He just
his
doesn't
leg.
he wears an open like leather skin and just, like, fucking releases.
Wow.
Good time.
You know, Orikaw has been trained out of that kind of behavior. But...
Goodness.
Right.
Good.
Right. Okay. So anyway,
I do feel, Russell, it might be an opportune time to remind the audience again about bringing Milford back, because we did have someone join while you were away.
right. So Barry Tahira, there's the empty space on screen right now. Barry Tahira plays a character called Milford Brixton usually. Milford, unfortunately, passed away in a recent episode and is what I guess in D&D terms is currently dead. Not to say that he is necessarily dead forever, because it's Dungeons and Dragons, characters can be resurrected. So what we've done is we've set up a community challenge to raise 15,000 divinity points. This is the channel currency that you gain as a viewer simply by watching the show. And you can access your divinity with the little infinity symbol down at the bottom of your chat screen. And by pressing that, you'll see that there is a Résurrection with a 14-day challenge left there. And if you'd like to donate your divinity to resurrecting Milford Brixton, I'm sure it would not go amiss. As you can see, 26% has already been raised. And if you have divinity to spare for Milford, well, save Milford Brixton. And if you've got actual real money, you can donate to charity on one of the links below. Gaming for Charity will help us raise money for the Starship Children's Hospital. So yeah, you can find all the information about that down below. And if you really want to give us money, you can just subscribe to the channel, and we'd be happy about that too. You know, helps with the running costs of the show, and all that sort of thing. So anyway, he's back. Don't talk about it. We'll stop talking about Milford now. Okay. So yes, Orikaw returns from his trip outside. Aelar is present.
So within each pillar, there was also a hole, perhaps a physical something could go inside, but there was no indication of what it could be. Aside from the doorway that led into the Shadowfell, that was a well. Brixton offered to go inside it, and from within he did not come back. So therein lies our report.
So you
Aelar,
allowed him through the well. You had no inkling this was a portal.
We had an idea. I tested the surface and thought it may have been a demi-plane or something.
You thought simply that it would not. He would be able to climb out if you tethered him. Is that?
We tethered him, aye.
I see. Curious. I've had to quell a few queries too, since you travelled to the. We got you into the palace for the festivities, and then apparently you passed some guards on your way to the tomb. Those
Right.
guards recorded 3 individuals travelling to the tomb, and only 2 returned. So I was curious about this. I thought perhaps one of you had become invisible or used some arcana in that sense, but clearly that was not the case.
No,
My condolences to your friend. I'm so very sorry that you have lost your companion. If there is anything I can do, you will tell me, of course.
we need to make this trip not in vain. Are you able to translate these messages?
Which messages are these?
The copies I made from the stones.
I believe so. Let me see. Now, he examines these messages. Now, these are the messages. What do you know about them so far out of game?
We know that there's 4 of them,
Mm-hmm.
and so each pillar had one of the elements on it.
Right.
And I believe he said that underneath each one it was the same message, the same inscription.
In the giant runes on it, there was just said the 4 element things, and there was I believe High Elven writing underneath it.
Right. Right. It was circled with High Elven writing.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. He says
But it
this about the circumference of the rune. This is a kind of binding ward to contain the power within the giant runes. The runes themselves, these are the ancient and most divine names that we have for these elements, and between them, great power. These are the names of the 4 worlds. The world of physicality, the world of action, the world of forms, the world of divinity. These 4 worlds, when they come together, they create the prime material plane that we live in here. They overlap. But when they are divided and pulled apart, these 4 worlds represent the elemental planes of fire, water, earth, and air. That central pool that you are describing, Adrik, it is my feeling that that pool can be switched, that it is a portal that can be opened to different places depending upon how one accesses or how one empowers those key pillars.
So no keys means it went to an absence.
It defaulted to the Shadowfell by looks of it.
Alright, so
yeah.
Any idea on what we might put in for these keys? I mean, a burning lump of coal for fire, so to speak.
So you're describing holes in these sections.
Aye.
Right. Leith, you're not there, are you? You're still in the room?
No, I've come out with Edryn.
With Edryn,
but
okay.
I'm sort of hanging back a bit.
All right.
Feeling a bit
a little bit more connected, perhaps.
A little bit more connected, but still a little bit shaken.
All right.
It also must be kind of, fucked up to be hearing us talk so candidly about the room where someone died.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I get Edryn and Leith to make Arcana checks, please?
14 from me.
23.
23 and a 14. Okay. Leith, you feel like you've got a clue here somewhere amongst the things that you've collected, and you're trying to remember what it was when. Sorry, that's Edryn. Leith, the 14. Meanwhile, Edryn, you recall
a clue to what?
all of this puzzle, the whole puzzle together, collectively, but you're not even sure what the question is. You just feel like you're on the verge of a discovery, and somehow Tozen may have something to do with that. Edryn, you remember the pictures, and you feel that those cylindrical objects that those people were holding, just because you're looking at the way Adrik's describing these pillars that they found in this room, right? And Adrik, do you sort of describe the holes?
Yeah.
And so you sort of like...
In Michael's mind, they're just like kind of where a pipe might go in. That's how I remember them.
Right.
But Adrik remembers them clearly because he saw them, so that's how he's describing them.
Right. And so as Adrik describes them, he may perhaps use his hands to sort of show how big these holes are. And Edryn, you immediately realize that that's about the same size as these objects that were being held in this image, this etching that you had a copy of.
I think. Did I get a copy? Did I have a copy?
I think you would have made a copy while you were in the library.
At the very least.
Yeah.
I do. He does like to scribble.
Yep.
I take out my notebook. I think it would have looked a little something like this, perchance.
Are these the elemental keys?
I think from what you have told me in our discussion earlier, and from what Adrik is describing these pipe-like things to look like. I think whatever is depicted being held by this person is what needs to go into these pillars, these obelisks, and maybe, Aelar, you can enlighten us a bit more as to where to find some of these, or one, or...
Well, if you think these are the keys, and I am inclined to believe you, whatever these objects are, I would imagine that if the order protecting the Mythal, who are a segment of the Black Guard, they would have these keys. They must have them, for how else would they govern the Mythal? The sufferance, the prison that is protected by this Mythal, they must have access to it and have power over it. Therefore, they must have these keys.
Aye.
If anyone knows where these keys are, it is our father, he says to you, Gudael. He is the one that will know the exact location of these keys. He may have them in his possession.
Is there
Or
a
if
room
not
in your
him.
house you're forbidden to enter?
There are many rooms in our house that we are forbidden to enter, my lord.
Entire
Adrik.
wings.
Entire wings.
So we go and burn down our house or something. Your old man goes to check it, and then we have, while he's sifting through ashes, we go look at wings and stuff.
Well, I
My
think,
father.
whilst I think that is perhaps an excellent idea, I should like to do this anyway, regardless of these keys. Despite that, I do not feel that the keys were likely to be in his house. I think they're more likely to be in the hands of the guards who are currently on guard at the sufferance.
Sorry, Gudael, I felt like you were going to...
I was just going to ask Orikaw if it looked familiar. Have you ever seen a black guard with such an object?
Orikaw, you've never been to the sufferance, so yeah.
That'd be too convenient.
Forgive my somewhat wayward mind. You said people who would know about these keys are a specific section of the Black Guard.
Yes. The sufferance
would've-
guards.
They would know about the portal. They would know about...
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
All they would know about is that they have possession of these keys. They might not know where they came from.
Very good. I think whether they're still around or not, I think the portal is in that room is built by some people who revered the Raven Queen a little bit more openly than I think most people do, in a more divine way than most people kind of deign to look at her.
I see.
But it seems to me perhaps maybe they are still frequenting the upper echelons of power and maybe pulling a few strings. I'm not entirely sure. It's just a theory. It seems that...
Hey, a theory is all we need at this stage. It's more than we have, really.
Seems weird to put a palace on top of a site and
Well,
a portal to the
if you've got-
Shadowfell.
If you've got something that needs protecting, why not put something else being highly protected on top of it?
But it's the palace, not the... It's where people... Yes, Sorry, I'm a bit all over
That's
the
all right.
place tonight.
So, Aelar, is there a common place where these head guards may congregate or rest?
Yes, sir. There is, of course. There is a barracks up near the sufferance.
And would you have any idea how well guarded or well lived in these barracks were, so to speak?
I should think there is anywhere from 50 to 100 soldiers there at any given time, perhaps.
Oh, is that all? Hey, Leith, you could do that.
I could.
The barracks is on the east bank of the river.
Right, Vanek's on
I
the
could,
east bank.
I could do what? Sorry?
I'm just pulling your leg, don't worry.
Oh,
Don't you worry. I will not throw you at the guards, don't worry.
oh.
I may be
I'd
able
rather
to.
you didn't, yes.
Okay, so we know where they are. That's a good place to start. Any chance? Oh, there's no way we could convince your father. No way. Unless.
Not without threats, my lord. Powerful threats. And getting to him would not be easy. And I warn you, he is a warrior of distinguished ability.
Of that I'm certain.
I would think...
Aye. Oh, go. Hey, this is an open forum.
I should think that among the... There must be some high-ranking members of the guard, probably 4 of them, that have access to these keys. If I were in charge of them, I would not put them all in one place, and I would not give one individual control of all of them. The Sufferance is, after all, the single most secure prison in the world of Sidariel. Also the most ancient. The small islands afforded to the prisoners on the canals of the Sufferance are said to be impossible to leave without express permission.
So, if each key is hidden in a different place, if we manage to get one, the guards would be immediately alerted to the fact that someone is trying to collect them all.
Well, assuming that all of the guards knew that they were, or that anybody else knew that one of them had been taken.
Me, Orikaw. Me not been here like 5 minutes, half an hour. But me think find out who got it first, and then you can hit them all at the same time.
That's a good suggestion, as good a suggestion as any. Aelar, would there be any way to find out who might be holding them, perhaps? Other than going and accosting each individual guard.
Well, surely it would be the higher up guards.
Yes.
You'd assume.
I can get you a list of the names of the highest commanders of the Black Guard.
Thank you, Aelar.
I
That
will
would be helpful.
My boy is outside. I will go to him now. Hamil! Hamil! Yes, my lord. The young man comes inside. Fetch me a list of the highest commanders of the Black Guard. Do it now. Yes, my lord. And he runs off.
So with one of these keys, could we? One would be able to move freely in the Mythal, correct? Is that the?
One should hope so, unless the Mythal is divided into 4 parts. In which case, then you would need to have the correct key, and you would need to know the location and whereabouts of Ren's specific isle, should we say?
The other thing is, very quickly, sorry, the islands
Yes.
are separated by what exactly? Just making sure. Water?
Water, yes.
Okay, good. Just didn't want to jump to any conclusions.
Yeah, good thing we've got that boat, Leith.
Well, yes. I'm glad that that we still have it.
Gudael, were you going to say something?
No, I was just imagining different configurations that the Mythal could be arranged in. Could be layers, could be sections.
Yes.
So just to be safe, we should have all 4 keys.
What would happen if we put all 4 keys in the 4 obelisks? The portal would then create a portal to the material plane.
Which is where we are. So what would be the point?
Where would that go?
Perhaps you could control where it went.
That's not a bad thought.
Like Ren's Isle?
Worth looking into.
Yes.
So I just want to get this clear. We believe that these keys will get us into the sufferance somehow.
Either. Yep. Yeah. You go, Joe. I mean, good day.
We believe the keys will allow us to get through the Mythal. Is that right?
In some manner of speaking, I believe so.
Yes, and hopefully allow us also to use our magic.
I do think there might be one thing to slightly sidetrack us.
Oh?
I was with Verdania last night, and well, she told me that we got into a little bit of a discussion about Ren, and she told me that he actually may have been expecting to be taken. And therefore he hid his blade. I didn't, as I said to Edryn, I didn't quite understand what she was talking about at first, because she kept on going on about the sorrow and some sorrow or something like that. But eventually she told me that that was the name of his sword. I feel it would be of some significance to us to actually find the sword first, to be able to return it to him and then enter the Mythal. The Mythal.
We're looking for a almost literally a needle in a haystack.
Well,
Did you have any indication of where he might have buried it? Safe bets is family property first.
Russell?
Well, that's the problem. That's nobody can find it. That's exactly the problem.
Right. No, she had no idea. She did mention that it was, yes.
What you do know is that the Black Guard are scrambling looking for it, and she
Okay.
thinks that's kind of funny.
Okay. She thinks it's pretty hilarious that that some sort of artifact of the Ariesis family, is it Ariesis? Is that right? Russell?
Yeah.
Ariesis family would go missing from under their noses, but I think Ren was pretty cunning in the ways in which he hid it.
I knew I liked Verdania. She was always the fun cousin.
I'm no
Well,
magician.
I
Ding,
very
ding.
much like her myself.
Ding
yes.
ding.
Oh,
Hello, come on.
It is I, Hamil. Hamil. I have the names for you, my lord. He passes a piece of paper to the group, and I have cut and pasted this information into your group Vaingate Chronicles canon group folder page.
Oh boy.
So you can see the
Oh
names.
yay, more notes.
So I've given you the notes. You don't have to type them up, but I'll read them out for the viewers. We have
Eglot,
Elandor.
sex pest. That's a good guard.
That is a different storyline.
Sorry.
We'll keep the sex pests out of this particular storyline.
Okay, I'm very sorry.
Aw.
Elandor Talandaran, Supreme Commander, but also Gudael's dad. and Ren's dad. Bassianus Ildruin, High Commander of the Black Guard. Elanus Lea Ferahel, High Commander of the Black Guard. Adran Oral Vandir, High Commander of the Black Guard. Berian Ralos Braduin, High Commander of the Black Guard. And then we have Drayli Gelt Ariasis, a prefect. Erdan Leith Erwin Drea, a prefect of the Black Guard. Then we have Thamior Sol Imdrael, a tribune. Varus Luatha Elasatril, a tribune. So those are the heads of the Black Guard. This group hold all the power. Anybody else in the Black Guard is some kind of perfunctory soldier, spy, bounty hunter, killer, or essentially security expert in some specific field. But these guys and girls run the show. They work directly for the king. And obviously Elandor, Gudael's dad, is the top man here.
Just rolling my own insight check here to see if I put 2 and 2 together, and I rolled a natural 1. Leith knows that he is looking at paper.
He knows that he's looking at paper. These names are all Leith. You realize that they're pretty much all high elves, and that kind of irks you.
Right.
You know, where are the wood elves on this list of names?
So process of elimination, considering patterns.
Well, yes, they all seem to be very up themselves. So we could ask anybody, and they would be haughty towards us.
Except, oh yes.
Oh no, all I was about to say was that was only 4 that keep the same title, and if I were to hand some very important keys, I wouldn't be handing it 2 of one and 2 of another below that. So, the 4 High Commanders seem like a safe bet.
True. Also, Leith, you said Sorrow belonged to a family.
Yes, she told me. Ariesis.
Spelt Areasis.
Areissus, I believe.
Okay, because there is an Ariasis.
It's the same name.
The same name.
Yeah, different spellings of the same name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if maybe we return in good faith a missing artifact, someone within the Black Guard might be thankful enough to get a little bit of information our way. Who knows? Maybe they are all hoity-toity. And
I think we might get into a bit of trouble for that. Actually,
That is very
I think
true.
Ren may have stolen that, because Ren is not. Ren is a Telendaran, is he not?
Gudael. Can you make a just make an insight check for me, please?
Oh, thank you. That's what I wanted to do.
Closest thing I can think of to the best check for this.
16.
16. Okay, Gudael. You distinctly remember your father gave him this sword. The sword was given to Ren as a gift from your father, when it was supposed to be from his father. Because Ren was only your half brother, right? So his father is obviously different to your father, though he's your adopted brother. That's right. He's not even your half brother. He's your adopted brother, right?
I believe that sword is Ren's birthright. It was given to him by father.
Oh.
If I'm not mistaken, it was the day we traveled as a family to Aunt Clara's funeral.
Why would Vidania have told me that it was from the Ariesis family?
Could Ren be from? Lineage-wise? Anybody
It's
else
possible. I know very little of his birth parents. Aelar, do you know anything?
Or is it a question of control of the Telandaran control over the birth lines of the bloodlines of the rest of the Black Guard?
I have never spoken to Ren on the subject, but it is certainly possible that what passed between our father and our adopted brother might have been his true bloodline. On the other hand, your friend here, Leith, Mr. Leith, you might well be correct. It's hard to say. But I will say that the chances that a blade such as this, the sword that you speak of is a moon blade. I have heard it referenced in the texts. Sorrow.
Yes, she did mention that it was a moonblade. Is it sentient? Do you know?
I would think so. All of the moon blades have been collected from every bloodline. Every family has had a moon blade in their family line for generations, going back as far as we know to the time that the primal elves received us here in Sidariel.
So all those blades have been collected. Why would Father allow Ren to have his family sword?
It is a great question that I cannot answer.
So I'm not particularly magically inclined. That being said, would any of you, more magical types, have a spell up your sleeves that could just point us in the right direction for such a, spectacular sounding thing? The people in this room who are most familiar with the weapon might have.
You mean like some sort of divination?
You said it, not me.
I'll be back.
Oh, what do I know? I just swing hammers.
Yes. Gudael, can you prepare anything that would help you locate? I'm very limited in my ability of what I've got written in my books.
I mean, if it's sentient, I might be able to detect its thoughts.
Are there sentient weapons?
Well, yes, there have been known to be.
Oh my.
But it would still be considered an object, not like a creature, correct? So it would be quite an easy thing if we needed to have a look.
If I know such a spell, it would take me time to learn it, I think.
How much time do you reckon? Well, it's nightfall now, so we've got time.
Probably a long rest.
How oddly specific! Quite strange, really. Boy, Michael here. I sure do wish that Brixton was around. He'd know what to do. If only there was a way to. If only there was a way to save him. Perhaps donating funds that you don't go towards anything else. Like, you're not going to buy your groceries with divinity, but you could save a life. Dear viewers. And currently, because I can't look at the tally, we're at 26%. 26% of 15,000. It's not a whole lot of divinity. That's not going to buy you bread, but it will bring us back
2 weeks
a
to
friend.
go as well.
That's a lot of time, but in the grand scheme of things, not a lot at all.
Well, I mean, you could probably use Brixton sooner than later, I suppose.
This is true.
Yeah.
Very true.
You know, so close yet so far.
Yeah.
I bet Brixton could, pickpocket a key with his butt cheeks if he tried hard enough, and he could really use that kind of dexterity right now.
Thank you for that image, Michael.
You're welcome. It's gonna cartoonish, like an old Gendy
That's a
Tartarsky.
t-shirt. It's a t-shirt right there. It's just
Brixton
Milford
could
Brixton
pickpocket with
with
his butt cheeks.
This one thing, and his butt cheeks are just like slippering out of his pants, just grabbing it from someone's pocket.
I leave the room for 5 seconds, and I
I
come
was
back
just
to
about
this.
to say.
That is only one person to blame.
Me
Me.
Wow. Wow. Just wow.
Gonna be designing that shirt now.
You guys are awful.
Yeah.
Miss
Terrible.
Miss
Muriel.
Tellendoran,
Yes, Orikaw.
you got place to play, things to do.
A place to
Stand
play?
here, you got things to do.
No, just a puzzle to solve.
What puzzle?
What puzzle? How to find the keys to the Mythal and where my brother would have stashed a sword.
You know,
Orikaw, you wouldn't have seen Ren walk into a garden somewhere and bury a sword, would you?
Who are you speaking to?
Orikaw.
All right.
no, but me think, like, brother go someplace, special place.
A special place.
Him got special place.
Gudael, insight check, please.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh
So
boy,
nice.
golly gosh.
How's this insight check going? Oh, is that a 14? A 14?
Oh, that's huge. It couldn't possibly fail.
Would anyone in the audience like to set the DC for this check?
I sure would.
You're not in the audience.
Ah, crap.
You dirty scoundrel.
I don't know. This small little screen that says I'm watching the stream says otherwise.
It has my
Yeah.
name on viewers.
Well, yes.
Friend Commander Root, do the thing.
Please set a very low.
You're a moderator. You can't be a moderator and set DCs. Anyone that wants to spend divinity, well, that's the thing. You you can spend divinity on saving Milford Brixton, or you can set the DC for this check.
No! It's the best
You catch 22 bastard.
All right, what was it? A 14. A 14. I think that's probably good enough for some information. So,
Hooray.
Gudael, you can remember a time. Oh wow, 1,000. Okay.
Thank you, Sharkity Shark Bums.
what's the DC then? Sharkity Shark Bums for this. What's the DC?
Is it 10?
14 was the roll. So does she pass or not? I'm assuming she does because you've just spent 1,000 divinity to do that.
Unless
Just
she wants
raises
us
the
to fail.
20 just to fuck with us.
That's a two.
Well, the minimum is 10, so that's a 12,
Good
which
enough.
means it's a pass.
Yay!
Hey.
Right. Gudael, you remember a time when you and your brother Ren, your adopted brother Ren, would travel to this broken down tower that was up on the road towards the Sufferance, but not at the Sufferance, not quite that far, about halfway to the Sufferance. So about 3 or 4 miles out of the city, heading up the mountain. And there was this broken down old tower up there where you would spend hours with one another practicing sword fighting and playing. And as you got older, it became, studying and other things as well. And you remember a couple of times when you collapsed up there and he looked after you while you were passed out having visions. So you remember that place quite well. And in fact, you remember now a vision that you had from your childhood, which was a vision of this exact place somewhere in the future during a storm. And there was lightning. And there was this sword in the tree, hidden inside a hollow in the tree. And this was in the vision that you had. And neither of you knew what this vision was about at the time. Decades ago. Maybe even hundreds of years ago. Probably 100 years ago you had this vision as you were in your elven teens, standing in this place, and you collapsed and had this vision of the sword hidden in this hollow in the tree during a thunderstorm.
I know where the sword is.
Oh, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
No explanation, you just want to go.
Nope, I trust you implicitly. To lead the way.
Forgive me. What is exactly our plan with the sword? Are we keeping it? We making sure it hands back to Ren when we get him back?
I think so.
Good.
I'm not giving it back to the Isekai or Iserei, that elf name.
Erasmus.
That one. Erasmus.
Orikaw?
Me, Orikaw, problem, bring sword back here, magic sword back here, might find it.
Bag of holding?
Bag of holding.
Sound good to me.
Hey, we've got the bodyguard on board, so I think that's the safety check done.
Me not
Orikaw,
hear a thing. Me did.
Would you rather leave the sword in the tree?
No leave sword in
Oh,
tree.
sorry, I didn't tell you where it was, did I?
Well, and now we know it's in a tree.
There we go. Boom. It's in a tree.
It's in a tree. Yes.
Is it not this tree?
No,
Okay, very good.
that would be too simple. It's
Very convenient.
in a place where we used to play as children. On the way to the Sufferance.
Ironic.
Yes. It would almost be as simple to leave it there until we're on our way to the Sufferance and pick it up on the way, but seeing as we don't know where the other keys are.
And also, anyone could just walk up to a tree and just, like some children, go, "My, that's a mighty fine hole in that tree. Oh, there's a sword in there."
Can
Yeah,
I
it could happen.
get a perception check from everybody, please?
Man, I can't wait for Aelar to completely screw us. 22.
Oh, what is with these natural ones tonight?
You're very, very
Oh
upset.
Oh my god,
God.
is that 3 for you, Steve?
I
Well-
think that's 4, actually.
The good news is, Steve, it's not a
gosh.
very important one.
Shit.
So, Steve, what are you busy doing when you fail this check? You're obviously quite involved, thinking about something.
Oh, he's thinking about Milford again.
Right.
He's just having a little sniffle in the corner.
Okay. Everybody else notices that there's a very light rain begins to fall in the courtyard on the tree.
Oh. Best get it now before it starts raining any heavier. Actually, under cover of storm is the best time to do anything. No one's out to go stop you.
Me no let anybody stop you.
Oh, I like him. I like him very much.
Aye.
Perhaps the best gift Father's given me since Ren. All right. Shall we then?
Shall we? Aye, let's go.
Right. So you take what are you taking with you?
Oh, we're trudging through the town together, aren't we?
Yeah, you're going to have to go. Well, actually, not through all of the city. You're already above the city, so you're just simply going to take the road. Actually, you're going to leave the Daughters of Twilight complex, go through the religious district, and head on up the road to the Sufferance. Towards it. That's the way Gudael knows it, anyway. That's what she will describe to you.
Yes.
I'm just going to put his Hammer of Thunderbolts back in the bag. He can get it out again if he needs it.
All right.
Yes, let's probably take all our gear. We can say we're going for a bit of a hike for a diversion, maybe a bit of hunting. And we'll go up the road towards the Sufferance and find the childhood fort.
All right. So you leave the Daughters of Twilight's complex, and again you see Iolantha's guards training, and they begin to pack up their training because the rain has set in. You hear somebody talking about, you overhear a conversation about how this rain is not good for the festival of the wheel, unfortunately, which is supposed to be continuing at the moment. They've had to call off one of their parades. There are supposed to be 4 parades in the day, and 3 of them have gotten through, but the 4th one looks like it's going to be knocked on the head because of the weather closing in. And so you head out onto the road and you start up towards the Sufferance. And there's this long, windy, zigzag road that starts going up this very steep bank, higher and higher above the city. And you can look down and see much of Hemoth Tirith from where you are now. The palace is kind of adjacent to you. You're at the same height as the palace, and you get this oblique angle to it where you can see the waterfall pouring down over the arch bridge, which separates the east and west wings of the palace. These 2 big golden towers that are the centerpieces of those 2 palaces. Big square towers too. They're not circular. They're like big ramparts. And you can see Adrik and Gudael where it was. You could just make out this tiny line that was in fact the walkway that took you across just to the edge of the waterfall. But you can barely see it because the actual pathway was behind the waterfall. So you can see how the palace kind of fits into that whole plateau there, and above it more buildings and what have you. Now you're starting to wind up above that even further. Looking down, you can see the weather closing in on the Lockhart Valley. In the distance, the 3 mother trees of Lithlian popping out of the forest that covers the floor of the basin. And then they start to crowd in with mist and cloud. It starts to get very heavy around you. The mist starts to close in around you until visibility begins to reduce to less than a few hundred feet. And now through the white cloud, which is kind of there's patches of pink light amongst that white cloud from the second sun, Ida Solum, and you make out this broken tower to the left of you as you go up further and further. It's just down a small slope. It's kind of broken, very sparse land here. There's no trees here, hardly any vegetation at all. But you see one tiny bit of green inside the wall of this broken tower. And Gudael leads you down off this little path. And Gudael, all these memories are coming back as you hopped from stone to stone across here. These big wide stones that you would always use to travel here, like a little path that you'd made of your own, that would take you into this ancient fortress. It was once a guard tower that was smashed apparently by orcs you discovered from your father. And he forbid you from ever going here, but you did it anyway.
Ren and I used to come up here all the time. It was a great place for watching for giants in the sky. Giants and dragons and such. We weren't meant to come up here, of course, but that made it more fun.
Did you ever see any?
Oh, yes. It was not all the time, but it was always exciting when we did.
By the way, does Aelar come with you, do you think?
Oh. Forgot all about Aelar. Poor Aelar.
I remembered I was about to ask, actually.
I think Aelar stays behind.
Russell,
Yes, sir.
when Ren is putting the thing in the tree, does he remember the vision?
That depends whether or not Gudael told him about the vision.
Oh, she would have.
All right,
Yeah.
well then yes. Also, Barry, stop snorting coke, please.
So, no, I leave that to you.
Right.
Hey.
So, he leaves her a message.
All right, so there's a message.
Yeah.
Okay, and what is the message? Well, we'll get to that. Okay, so you get into the fortress, and Gudael, I'll get you to make an investigation check, please. There's more blackbirds here, more ravens.
All right. Gudael's a bit lost in her memories.
Does anyone want to help Gudael with her investigation?
I will.
How do you go about that?
I pull out my little crystal of seeing, or whatever it's called, my eyes of minute seeing.
All right.
And I start. If she's pointing out something that may be a little bit interesting, I'll go and have a look, and anything that she thinks could be a clue, I'll go and investigate further. But I'm being guided by her insights.
Right. So she's basically walking around this big tree looking for a knot or some kind of entrance into the tree.
I used to climb this tree, but one time I had a vision, and it's kind of funny because it was a stormy vision.
The rain is falling hard now. I was about to mention that, in fact.
The weather was much like this, and Ren and I told Ren, and we couldn't figure out what the vision could mean, but there was a sword in the tree, which is why I believe.
And now there is a flash of light across the horizon that covers you all in white light. And the thunder rolls overhead.
Oh, this is very ominous.
I like it.
There's another couple of flashes on the horizon. You see lightning.
I'll send Tup up the tree to see if,
Okay.
and he'll have a look to see if
Can you make an investigation check for Tup?
12.
Wow. Okay, 12. So it says 16 on D&D Beyond. Is that because
Yeah.
that's got your bonus on it, right?
No,
Not
I rolled because investigation's intelligence, and he's got a 2.
Okay.
So he's a -4.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So Tup gets a 12. Okay. He's scrambling around up the tree, and Gudael, you're walking around in circles, when suddenly there is another flash of lightning, and this time the lightning hits the tree. And can I get everybody nearby to make a dexterity saving throw?
I swear I've rolled like 4, 5, 16s. It's insane.
13.
2.
Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 16s in a row I've rolled.
All right.
Yeah, it could have been
That's
a worse saving throw, to be honest.
insane.
Better than my ones.
No. Yeah.
So
Oh.
All right. So let's just call these out, please. Milford. Okay, I better roll for you. Hang on. Milford. We don't have a Milford. We have an Orikaw. And it's a dexterity saving throw. And it's going to be a massive 8. Okay, Orikaw, you're thrown to the ground. And it's quite painful. But you only take 2 points of damage because you're a tough motherfucker. Leith, what did you roll?
I rolled a 13.
13. Okay. You step back just in time to get out of the way of the lightning as it arcs off the tree into the ground and into the stones nearby. Adrik.
2.
Okay, you're standing there right by the tree as the electricity starts to arc directly into you. And this is very much like the day that you were on the Island of Shadows, where you struck that stone and split the stone and the electricity arced from you there. Oddly does not affect you at all.
What?
It's just pouring off you and into you, and you're kind of one with it for a moment.
Oh my. Did anybody see that?
It's wrapping around you, and you're feeling it you feel kind of empowered by it.
Oh my.
Edryn.
I rolled a 17.
You rolled a 17. You're just too far away for it to happen to begin with. You just stepped out of the way. There's nothing touches you. Gudael, what was your saving throw?
2.
It was a 2.
It was a 2. Oh, wow. Okay, so you are also smacked to the ground. You take 4 points of damage. Electricity. At which point, you hear this enormous crack from the tree, and it splits open. And there's this big gap down one side of it. And in there, you see this sword vertically sitting inside this hollow, inside the tree, and there is a note attached to it.
As the only person close to the tree, Adrik's going to reach out and pull out the sword.
Right, the electricity stops arcing around you, and you reach forward and you put your hand on the scabbard of the sword, or on the hilt, or what?
On the scabbard.
Okay, and the note is wrapped around there too. Do you put your hand where the note is, or around the whole, just the scabbard?
Just the scabbard.
Okay.
It's wet, so I don't want to put any force on the paper.
Right.
So I'm pulling it out and trying to gently shield it with my body.
Right, so you can make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh boy.
Where is it? There we go.
9!
9! Well,
The sword says no in German.
as you take the blade, as you take the scabbard from the tree, you feel this wave of sadness and melancholy just overcomes you, and you kind of find it hard not to just fall to your knees in the rain and weep. You remember all the feelings that you had when your child perished. It feels all the weight of the stone child, all the weight of Milford's loss, and everything in between, every other tragedy that has occurred in your life, all comes together and weighs on you at this one moment like a stone around your neck.
Adrik's going to pull the sword close against his chest and he's going to whisper to it.
It's okay. We'll get you to your master soon. It's okay.
And that's all and he's going to shuffle. With all this weight, he's going to shuffle back to Gudael to give her the sword.
The one good thing, Adrik, is that because of the rain, nobody can see your tears.
There is that.
I believe this belongs to your brother.
Gudael, you're getting up off the ground in the mud right now. Orikaw might help you up, perhaps.
Oh yes, he definitely will.
I'll pick Leith up if he's. Oh no, Leith is fine. Ignore me.
Thank you, Orikaw. Thank you, Adrik. Does, I guess, Gudael reach out to touch it? Is she able to withstand the sorrow, or?
You can make a wisdom saving throw.
Ooh. You know, I would love to make a wisdom saving throw, but I've had a...
Crash?
Yes.
I'll tell you what,
boy.
I will roll your wisdom saving throw for you. If you watch the stream, you'll be able to see it.
All right.
You get +5 to this. Bloomin' heck.
She's hella wise.
Okay, so that's
You wouldn't know it some nights.
right. So that was a 13. So yeah, you feel it, but it doesn't take you to your knees. You feel it wash over you and through you, but your goddess and your beliefs protect you from it. You know, it allows you to... So you've got a cushion between you and the feelings that the sword is giving you.
I've never held his sword before. I don't know how he was able to use this.
Perhaps he's just used to that feeling. Like I said about the pain, you grow accustomed to it and you wrap yourself in it.
It becomes like a friend.
It also becomes a blade.
All right. So what do you do now, guys? You're standing in the rain. The storm is raging now.
Did Gudael notice the note?
Yes.
Okay.
And at this point, Ren, what does the note say?
This is the vision. Knew you'd find it. Love you lots. Don't come looking.
Don't come looking.
P.S. Whatever happens.
Leith, can you make an arcana? Make a perception check, first of all.
Perception. Okay.
Don't roll a 1 or I'll kill you.
Oh, kill me if I roll a 1.
Hey,
14.
There's a
Okay.
1 in there.
There's a 1 in there. Okay, so it's what? It's 1 plus 4 is 5.
There's not a 1. There's not a 1 in the sum though.
Okay, Leith. As you're standing there and all of this lightning and shit is going on around you and the weather, there's a certain amount of mist clears a little bit further up the path, and you can see the way the mist is sitting over the top of the next hill, which is quite a long way away. And you notice for a moment the lightning strikes where the mist is, and you see this glowing field, almost like a dome, up above the city, way up above on the top of the very highest waterfall. There's this dome, and it glows with a purpley blue color for a moment as the lightning strikes it. And you realize that you've just witnessed the Mythal of the Sufferance.
Did anybody see that?
No? Well, what was it?
I think I saw the Mythal.
So what happened?
It was hit by lightning and it illuminated for a moment. This beautifully huge dome of gold and purple, and it was amazing. Is that where we need to get to?
Yes, and so now we know it's definitely dome-shaped.
It seemed to me to be surprisingly easy finding their sword.
It helps when you've got an eye for that.
Yes, well, I did have a vision, so perhaps it's important to our
It
mission.
was
Leith,
meant to be found. Yes.
Leith, as you're having this conversation too, you're sort of looking back still where the Mythal was while you're having this conversation, and you think for a moment you see this black shape, kind of equine shape, darting into the mist nearby, and you hear the sounds of horse hooves clattering on the stone.
Away? Away or towards?
Away.
I definitely think we should go this way, towards the Mythal.
What's the Mythal?
Yes.
But Leith, we don't have any keys.
I suspect we will find them this way.
Well, we've been following gut feelings and intuition thus far, so what could it hurt?
You are
Either way.
drenched at this point, just so you know.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
All of the
shaking.
dialogue is being said in a sort of, I think we should go this way!
Intuition and all that, lead the way!
All right.
Me need bath anyway.
You smell ripe. You're lovely.
Okay, so you guys are going to go trudging up out of the fortress back to the main road. You start heading up the road. Make perception checks, please.
Fuck yeah.
Perception.
I can't.
I got a
Oh, no.
14.
I got a 24.
Wow. That was not a 1, Leith. See?
That was not a 1.
See?
That one did have a 1 in it, but it was the other end of the die.
Right.
I've got a 10.
Okay, Gudael, you're obviously a bit introverted right now. You're carrying the sword, and I think that's giving you disadvantage on perception checks for now.
Okay.
Just because you're turned inwards, holding your brother's moonblade.
Okay.
And as you're going up this way, those of you that rolled above about 15 will notice some figures coming through the mist, heading down in the distance. They just come through the mist in the distance. They must be a mile away.
Put in bag.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea. I'll put it in the bag. So Gudael puts,
Puts the moonblade inside the bag of holding.
yes.
Okay, and you fold the bag of holding up and hide it, I assume.
How did you know I had that bag?
Me stand and listen.
All right. And after a few minutes, you see this a small detachment of black guards coming down the hill. They are on foot. As they get closer, you see that there are 6 of them.
I think perhaps we should. I think perhaps we should hide.
I think that's a good idea, Leith.
There's not a lot of places to hide, and if you can see them, they can probably see you.
Right. Well, what's the worst that could happen?
Anybody got bottle of alcohol?
Now it's not a very good time to be drinking.
You
Oh,
just
you might be
lost
onto
a
something.
friend.
I think I agree. Actually, alcohol would be very good to warm up the body right now.
That might be why you're down here, having a time at losing a friend, huh?
Do any of you have alcohol on you? I mean, I imagine Edryn always has some alcohol on him somewhere.
No, I haven't replenished my supplies just yet.
Okay. Edryn is...
I'll check in the
Do
bag.
I?
Have any of you been hiding alcohol in my bag?
I mean, you did sweep a table full of food, so there might be breakfast beer on it.
Breakfast beer.
You got a table slap through the bag, the breakfast beer.
Remember that you have to name everything you put in the bag. So the
No.
bag,
Booze.
the bag might be soiled.
Gross.
So no alcohol, huh?
No, sorry.
Quick, Edryn, act drunk.
Act?
Hey.
Okay.
Soldiers
I meant
start
simply
approaching.
that I'm pretending to be drunk.
The soldiers are about 100 feet away now.
Why don't we just turn back?
They look like they're going quite quickly.
Oh.
I think maybe we should turn back or get out of their way.
Alright, get out of the way. That's
Out
a
of
good
the way. Let's
decision.
stand aside. They don't need to know what we're doing, but we don't need to know what they're doing.
True. We'll stand aside respectfully.
First 5 of them go past of you without looking at you. Well, 4 of them go past. The 4th one gives you a quick glance, Leith, and then goes past you. The last one actually sort of almost goes past and then stops and looks up and says, Lady Talandaran,
Oh, hello.
you should get out of the weather. It's going to get worse. What are you doing
do you
up
think
here?
so?
I daren't ask what you're doing up here, actually. It's none of my business. But you should get out of the weather. It is going to get worse.
Okay. Yes. We'll just. I just wanted to show my friends the views.
I see. These are the... Oh, very well. I've heard that you were back.
Yes. Yes. It's been quite some time.
Well met, then. You're not
Yes.
even sure who this guy is at this point. He's wearing his helmet and stuff, and, you know...
Yes. It's quite difficult for me to recognize your voice through the thunderous rain.
Ah, yes, of course. My apologies. It's... Londrel.
Ondrel. Oh.
Imdrael.
Yes.
It's been a while. Anyhow,
Yes.
I must go. We have messages to pass. Urgent.
Of course. Okay.
And they run on down the hill past you.
There we go. Nothing to worry about.
Get out of the rain! You'll catch your death up here.
Right. Perhaps we should invest in cloaks next time we're in the market district.
Good idea.
And it is getting chilly, to be fair, where you are, and it is getting darker too. It's late afternoon. No, actually, it was evening. It's evening. Yeah, I remember now. What the fuck are you guys doing?
Chasing a unicorn in the dark.
We're chasing horses, damn it.
Literally chasing a unicorn. At least Leith is.
Leith, where are we going?
This way,
So, for the sake of
towards the Mythal.
for the sake of your visibility and what have you, first of all, most of you guys can see at night anyway, so that's fine. And we'll say that the second sun is still actually above the horizon right now. So there's this kind of pink glow that's saturating the palate in the air. That's how come you were able to see down into the valley earlier. But now that sun is setting and it's actually getting a bit darker. But you can still see well enough. You've got night vision and so on. And so, Leith, you're heading on up, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you head up the road, and I'm assuming everybody's following him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, well, eventually you get to the base of a very large set of steps, and you can hear a river or water moving up ahead. And you see there's this large stone wall, giant-sized wall, on your right-hand side. And there's a gap in it. And at the base of that gap, you can see two small towers. I say they're small. They're not actually small. They just look small compared to the wall. They're little guard towers. And at a glance, you kind of can assume there must be anywhere from 5 to 10 soldiers manning these two little towers, these two guard towers. You see a pathway that goes around to the right across a bridge that goes across the river, which is about to hit the waterfall. So you're about 50 to 100 meters, 50 to 100 feet away from an enormous waterfall that pours down about 1,000 feet. At which point it hits the back of the palace, and then it runs along the top of the palace. The river runs across the top of the palace and then down another waterfall, which is the waterfall that you guys entered the other day, or the previous session. Some of you guys, not all of you.
So the sufferance is more or less right on top of that cave.
Ominous. But looks like that could be a potential entrance, not egress, that's the other one.
Mm.
So now we might have a way in that doesn't involve going through a series of guards and people.
Aye. Well, we'll likely have to get through guards anyway.
Get to get key.
Well, the other
We
thing
could
that
just
you
walk
have to, I mean, Adrik and Gudael, obviously you had to go through the palace to get to that entrance anyway. And the palace is also full of guards too, but different guards.
A different caliber of guards.
Different caliber of guards, different style of guards, different uniforms.
Did you come across anything in the cave, in the room?
Just the pillars and a central shard of a rock or something. Uneven, broken.
So no guards.
No. Well, the tomb itself was underneath the palace. We had to navigate that and get past a couple of guards that were blocking our way into the tomb.
Right. Okay.
So wherever we go, there's likely guards in the way.
Yes.
And potentially some creatures.
And potentially some creatures.
Right. From experience, or?
Well, I mean, we slew two different things there, but how well does death take the undead?
Undead. Oh.
Well, we assumed one was a floaty, ghosty-looking thing,
Right.
and the other was this awful, yawning thing with vacant eyes. Terrible, terrible.
All right. Fun.
Well, unless we want to attempt to assail the gate now, I think we've done our duty.
Yes.
Yes.
Leith, unless you had anywhere otherwhere your intuition was taking you.
Well, it's not so much my intuition as yes, we should keep going. I'm not so sure.
Would you like to phone a friend?
I called the storm, Mr. Leith.
Did you force us here?
I brought you here to see.
Or where must we go now?
That is your business, Mr. Leith. You've seen what you need to see for now. You found the blade. The vision is fulfilled.
I see. I don't know where we need to go. I think we just need to investigate the immediate area.
Why not? What's the worst that could happen?
Well, I mean, we could go in and fall down the same area into the Shadowfell that Milford just did.
Adrik's gonna walk up and give Leith a hug. Well, as much of him he can reach.
It's a soppy, wet hug.
I'm covered in armor. It's not comfortable for Leith.
Perhaps we should go back to the tower.
Yes, I was about to suggest something of that. Getting out of the rain, at the very least.
There is a little bit of shade, cover at the tower, yeah.
Well.
Or back to the city. And in either case, let's start heading down the path.
All right. So you guys head back down the path, and you get to the point where you can see the tower not far from you, the broken tower. And you remember too, Gudael, the stories of this place being haunted, which you always kind of wondered about as a child. You never saw any hauntings, but people talked about it. It's one of the reasons nobody came here. And I think maybe Ren might have said something to the effect that it was a good thing that there were stories about these hauntings because it kept people away and it made the place your own. So you go down and you travel back to the tower, I assume, or are you going to go back to the city? What are you guys doing?
Going back to the city might be a bit too far.
Too far? Or yeah? Well, you get to the tower anyway, and you get some cover there.
Do you know, they used to say this place was haunted.
Haunted?
Yes, Ren and I never saw anything, but Ren always thought it was a good thing because it kept people away.
Well, surely there must be some vestige of truth if people said it. I mean...
Oh, people make things up for anything, really.
Especially broken down things.
Haunted doesn't need to be negative. Maybe
well,
there's something
this
very
is true.
nice in here that quite liked you, Gudael, and Ren as well.
Shall we bed down here, friends? It's been a while since we bedded in a place that was unsuitable for being alive in.
True, I actually haven't attempted a rest since,
Aye.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys sit down and you take a bit of a rest. You going to make a campfire or anything like that?
Is there enough cover to make a campfire?
There is enough cover. There's a little wall that goes around the outside of this place. You think of it as a kind of a ruined building with a tower inside that building. So the whole thing is.
We'll make a fire. I mean, oh jeez. Orikaw will make a fire.
Okay. All right, Orikaw, we're going to make a survival check for you. And that comes to a giant 16. All right, Orikaw starts a roaring fire. Certainly a good enough fire to keep going during this weather. All right.
Oh, mighty fine. Good work, Orikaw.
Well done.
All right. What are you guys doing? You're sitting around the fire in a little bit of cover inside the leftover remains of the tower. and the storm outside is still raging. I'll have perception checks from everybody, please.
A tasty 10.
A tasty
19.
10. 19. All right.
So 19.
19. Not Milford. Orikaw, perception. What did you get, Edryn?
Well,
Orikaw, you're busy lighting fires. That's why you're not paying much attention. You're keeping the fire stoked. Edryn, you don't notice anything particularly. What are you thinking about?
Staying warm.
Staying warm. And while you're
He's
thinking...
quite soaked and kind of just shivering a little bit.
Right. Right, fair enough. So who got the highest here?
I think that was
I
Leith.
think
Let me see.
Gudael and I, yeah. both got
Gudael and you.
19.
Both got a 19. Okay, you guys both look up at the same time and notice there's this shape in the shadows. This entity hovering in the darkness. Gudael, you've seen something like this once before, only the night before. Within the last 24 hours, you've seen something like this. This hooded being with this yawning face and these gormless, not so much.
Fuck!
Now, do you believe in the hauntings?
Yes, now I do.
It starts to come out from the shadows there. Everyone can make a roll your initiative, please.
Damn it!
Edryn is a 5.
19.
Fine.
Adrik, sorry, oh my god, Gudael is a 3. Okay, Leith, what was yours?
19.
19. Nice. Adrik, what was yours?
5.
5. So Edryn was a 5, Adrik was a 5, Gudael was a 3, Leith was a 19. Orikaw, initiative +1. Oh, 19. Wow. Okay. The first thing that happens is everybody needs to take 5 necrotic damage. You all just take 5 necrotic damage. There's no saving throw. There's nothing. You just take 5 necrotic damage as it approaches you. You just feel this chill go up your arms and limbs and into your bones, and you feel it reaching towards your heart as it passes into you. So record 5 damage, please.
Should have taken a rest. Ah, fuck.
All right. Then this creature turns and looks to whoever's the closest. Who saw it first was Leith and Gudael. So Leith, it's going to look to you first. And as it does, it makes this strange, unearthly hissing sound. And its eyes, these pools of blackness, settle upon your visage, and you make a Constitution saving throw, please.
17.
17. All right. Well, then you take half damage, which is going to be 13 points of damage.
Half of 13, or 13 is half?
13 is half.
Holy shit.
All right. Then it swings a fist at Orikaw. Orikaw, your armor class is AC 16. It misses you, Orikaw. You manage to shield yourself, parry it with your sword. You pull your blade off your shoulder very, very quickly and stand up, managing to avoid this thing's fist as it swings it at you. Now it is Leith's
Was that the end of
turn.
its turn?
That's the end of its turn. Now it's Leith's turn.
I needed to make a DC 14 wisdom saving throw using my stone rune reaction.
Okay.
That's the thing that, it charms it and it's in a stupor for a while.
So it's making a DC 14
wisdom saving
throw, and it's a charm, is it?
Let me read out the thing to you. When a creature you can see ends a turn within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to force the creature to make a wisdom saving throw. Unless the save succeeds, the creature is charmed by you for 1 minute. While charmed in this way, the creature has a speed of 0 and is incapacitated, descending into a dreamy stupor. The creature repeats the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success.
Well, the bad news is that it ignores your saving throw.
Damn it. Okay.
Leith, it's your turn.
How far is it from me?
20 feet.
Okay. I'm going to cast Hex on it.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise. And then I will Eldritch Blast it.
Alright.
In the face.
In the face. Motherfuckers.
15.
15. 15. That actually hits it. Does it get a saving throw for Hex?
Hang on. I need to name something on the Hex that it
Yep.
is. Choose one ability when you cast the spell. The target has disadvantage on ability checks made with the chosen ability. Oh shit, what do I choose on this? And I make it Constitution checks. But yeah, damage. I rolled. What did I roll? I can't see.
So I'm making a saving throw, or not?
No. The Eldritch Blast. I rolled 8 points of damage.
8 points of damage. Yep. Taken.
Don't think. Yeah, no. And then from the Hex.
Yep.
Another 5 points of damage.
Another 5 points of damage. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Is that the end of your turn?
Yes.
Okay, Orikaw.
Is it anywhere near my the person I should be guarding?
Your charge? Well, it's near everybody, so yes. And you've just, yeah. I mean.
Okay, I will attack so it doesn't get any further.
All right, so you step into the fray with your two-handed sword. I'm assuming your great sword.
Yep.
Okay, so Orikaw, you're going to take a swing with your great sword. Here we go. Oh, did you just roll a 1d20 plus 9? You rolled 29. You rolled a critical.
Yo.
You rolled a critical hit. Okay, so now we're going to do our critical damage. You did 23 points of damage with that crit. Okay, wow. He's a scary fucker, isn't he? Alright, are you going to do any... that was your first attack. Do you want another attack? You want to take your second swing?
Yeah, I want him away from my charge.
Alright. Here we go again. 19, you rolled a 28. That's a hit. Well, because you rolled a 1 on that, we get to re-roll one of those dice. So that was a 4 and a 1. So one of those dice gets to re-roll because of your feats. So that's it's another 1. I guess we keep it the second time. Okay, so it ends up being 11 points of damage on the second attack.
Okay.
And you've really smashed into this thing. Okay, now do you want to take any of your other maneuvers or anything that you can do? Not maneuvers, but your class traits.
Yes, please.
Okay, so what else can you do? Action Surge, which you can do once a day. You're going to take one more attack at it with your Action Surge? Okay. Alright. Actions, great sword, plus 9 to hit. That's another 28 to hit. Blooming heck. And,
okay, Barry.
15 points of damage. And Orikaw, you smash it. You kill it. You destroy it. It just hisses and goes shrieking off into the trees, dissipating as it does. To nothing.
He goes and sits down by his charge.
You ended it.
He goes and sits down by his charge.
Well, yeah, that was a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah.
It was quite a bit easier than I thought.
Right.
I remember that being a lot harder.
Orikaw, you've just witnessed Orikaw smash the crap out of this wraith-like being, this Bodak.
All he does is sit down by his charge.
Right. So, Gudael, Orikaw sits down next to you.
Orikaw, that was astounding. I don't know what to say.
I've got to look after you, my lady.
I feel you might be able to look after us all.
Aye.
No, me not that good. One day learn more.
Orikaw must have just cleaved through it, I think. Like, there must have been, like, those strikes were just taking off what would have been limbs if it had been more substantial.
Imagine how pleased Thorn would be to have Orikaw among her ranks.
Who?
A friend. Hey.
What her name?
Thorn.
I wager you do a lot more good under her charge than you would here.
Okay. If you say so.
Should we head back, do you think,
Aye.
now that we've just witnessed the actual haunting?
I think we should make like a tree and leave. I like this one. He's got a good sense of humor. And just pats him on the back.
What do you think? Well, if you've been here for quite some time, Gudael, and never ran into this.
I don't know what to make of it. It is interesting, though, isn't it? Because we ran into this sort of thing just last night. I wonder if someone's been messing around with the portal thing.
I might have a look at something in the morning.
The sooner that we close that blasted gate, the better.
Yes, I agree.
Anyway, at any rate, I don't feel safe sleeping here. I don't know about you guys.
All
Fair
right.
enough.
So you guys are going to pack your stuff and walk back down to the city? All right. So the better part of an hour later, you arrive drenched and freezing back at the Daughters of Twilight complex, and you head inside and you get to your room. And oddly enough, a pile of wood has been added to your little area. There is, in fact, a before not mentioned fireplace, which was there the whole time, but wasn't worth mentioning.
Me do fire.
Thank you, Orikaw.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Orika's stocking the fireplace, making a fire. We'll make another survival check for Orikaw, see if he can do a good job this time as well. I'm sure it will be amazing.
I'm blown away how he blew through that dead thing. Man.
That critical helped for sure, and he's got like great weapon fighter, and he's all set up for serious DPS. 15 on your survival check, Orikaw. You light the fire. That's all good. All right.
My
Everybody's
lady,
happy.
you sit by fire. Get warm.
Yes, sir.
Right. So you bring over a chair and sit by the fire. Does anybody else come and sit by the fire?
Get her a blanket.
All right.
Get her a blanket.
You guys are in wet clothes presently.
Get her a towel if they got any.
Oh, okay, but before you go any further, I'll just take myself away to my room and dry off and change and come back.
All right. So
While
you're doing
she's
that.
away, Adrik's gonna derobe right in front of the fire.
Right. Adrik's standing stark is in front of the fire, is he?
Absolutely, isn't he? And like when he hears like the door the door handle on her room jiggle, he takes a towel from Orikaw and like wraps it around himself.
Right. And at
It's
that
comically
point,
too large for him.
there's a bell from the door, the main door as well. At that point.
Oh, Edrik, cover yourself up. I'll go tend to it.
If you insist.
You find Aelar is there again. May I come in?
Aelar. Of course, you're more than welcome to come in.
Thank
Please.
you. Thank you. He steps inside, looks around. I see you've been out.
Yes.
Yes.
And fruitful.
Just taking in the lovely summer sun.
Fruitful journey, I hope.
Yes, somewhat.
Somewhat. Good. Well, I've made some headway in terms of finding allies. My, shall we say, sponsor, or perhaps another word would be mentor, a fellow by the name of Azariah. He is prepared to meet with you all. I'm not sure what he can do or how he can help, but he may have information that might assist us. I should like you to meet him. He is a very respected arcanist. He will have access to libraries and information that you have not had access to before, I would think. Azariah.
This would be useful.
Yes, very.
Between you and me, and he speaks kind of quietly, he says, Azariah was a trusted member of the court of King Durian prior to his death.
How does he still live?
It is a good question, but he is a powerful and well-respected arcanist, so one can only assume that he has his own ways.
Something that's been bothering me that I've not thought to speak up on. This is completely unrelated. When we visited the court, the king seemed deeply unwell.
Yes, I noticed that as well.
Didn't he think to bring it up, but is his health well known? Is it a cause? Is it recent?
He has been of this ailment for as long as he's been king. It overcame him approximately the same time as he took the throne and the crown, as he became the supreme commander of Hemath Tirith and the Elven lands. Such an ailment took him. It has been long said that it was the responsibility of the throne that has ailed him. I may have pointed out to you that he has advisors that I do not trust. Did I not name such advisors in the past?
You did, but I didn't think they'd be quite so brazen with their potential control of him, or their harming of him.
You must understand, Lord Adrik Frogdar, that those of us who are able to stand in the court have little say and little power to change things the way they are. If we were to, if the courtesans were to speak out of turn, as they have done in the past, they tend to disappear. The king is surrounded by yes-men.
Aye. I was just remarking on the health.
It is not unnoticed, nor is it perhaps unimportant, and I myself would have mentioned it to you, but it seemed like a lower priority to some of the other things we've been discussing.
No, I completely understand. It was just thing that took me aback ever so slightly. It's of no importance. No importance. It's just something that I was just curious about.
Oh, there is a rumor, also you might be interested to know, I have discovered there is a rumor that Queen Clareska of Scartabel has been sighted outside of the city, according to some rumors, she travels with a rabble as undercover as some sort of peasant, but it's just a story. I personally...
Emeth Terrace or Vaingate?
Oh no, Vaingate.
Okay.
Not here. She's not here.
Where do they say they have sighted her?
On the plains beyond the rolling hills south of Vaingate. In the very plains where they expect the war engines of the Dagdagil contingent to arrive.
Right.
It will be a battlefield there. I'm not sure what she's thinking, if that is indeed her plan, or if she is indeed among them. It could be a ruse. It's not been uncommon for sovereigns to create these rumors themselves.
All war is ultimately deception, so it's
Yes.
not completely untoward.
It is my understanding that the war in the West, so to speak, is entirely a ruse.
Costly one.
Often spoken of, the war in the West as an excuse for all manner of taxes and other perpetrations of power, which seldom have I seen evidence for. Have you ever met a veteran from the War of the West? For I have not.
No, can't say I have.
I should also suggest that if you were to look at a map of the world and one was to look west, one would find that Vaingate is towards the western coast of the continent of Sidariel. Where would this war in the West even be?
You raise some interesting questions, Aelar. And your father would be ever so slightly wiser to keep an eye on you.
Well,
But it is to our benefit.
consider these things. Consider all things. This is all propaganda. I am surprised at the brazenness of the propaganda, that those wise men and women among the elves and humans and other races of sentience across the world of Sidariel have not come to these conclusions themselves, or if they have been so wise as to not speak of them for fear of persecution.
There must be benefits for them to go along with it, I would say.
Or perhaps they're tired. There has already been one war in the world's recent memory. So perhaps they're simply tired.
Well, yes, there are many skirmishes, but as for full-known wars, the sorts of wars that your race, Adrik, the dwarves of the Banakaya, and ours, the High Elves, have known much greater wars than these mere skirmishes. We have seen wars that lasted for decades, for centuries. We have seen wars that have changed the face of the world. These skirmishes are flickerings.
But no less costly to lives.
Your servant here, Gudael, Orikaw, you should
Yes.
ask him about his experiences of the Orcan Empire, the Angor Ma'ak. I am to believe you were a gladiator, Orikaw, is that not true?
Yes, I was a gladiator, my lord.
Fighting for your freedom among the orcs. Never accepted among them, never accepted among the humans either. I believe you were given your freedom by the elves who were sent to reinforce a human encampment that had been overrun.
That is true, my lord.
Did
That
you
is why I am...
Did you not gain your enormous girth and magnitude from the carrying of great rocks and stones and the construction of a wall as a slave?
You know a great deal about me, my lord.
I have done some research, Orikaw. I should not have one of my father's chosen servants sent here to spy upon my sister. You see, so I will do my research.
I have no intention of spying on your sister.
I see that. And that, my friend, is beneficial to all of our goodwill.
I can see that. Now I can talk properly.
Do. You have earned my trust.
There are not enough of my people to have a war. They fight amongst themselves.
The orcs?
Yes.
I see.
Though I give no care to their war, for they gave no care to me. There is only one that could cause great unrest.
Who is this?
She is well known amongst my people.
Sister! Sister! She's passed out again.
That's all right. I'll take her to bed. Actually, I have no clothes on. That's probably not a good idea.
I will take her.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Orikaw.
Everyone waits for Orika's return. Okay.
She is comfortable.
So, Orikaw, why did you hide your true self from us?
People tend to think that orcs are unintelligent.
Savages.
Not clever.
Savages, beasts, barbarians.
That is
Merchants
correct, my lord.
merchants of death.
We are merchants of death.
Cannibals, even. Is it true that they eat their children?
Only some, my lord.
Ah, so they're not much different to humans then.
No, my lord. They are not.
I see.
One more important question. Did you actually think my joke was funny?
I actually did think that was
All right,
fun.
well, that's all that matters. That's fine.
Once again, now we're on what you call the level. I'd like to say how sorry I am about your friend.
Not nearly as sorry as we are.
You were about to disclose to us some pertinent information regarding the one that you
Right, of course.
spent time with.
I don't like to speak her name. We have bad blood between us.
Bad blood.
Yes.
You have bad blood with orcs?
Yes,
Why so? Why would that be so?
because I'm half human, half orc.
I see. And they do not see you as an orc, and the humans
No.
do not see you as a man,
Correct,
and the elves only see you as a slave.
correct.
What is your place in the world then, Orikaw?
One day I will make my own.
Admirable. But you know things.
No. For now, we count you as a friend, Orikaw. And hopefully that'll suffice for the moment.
I hope to earn your friendship, my friend.
We'll see.
Very well.
The language, the words I'm able to speak, are because of your father. I listen to him all the time. I learn from him.
I see. So he trains you?
He trained me because of the things I needed to do.
And what things did you do for Ilandor Talandarin, our father, my father?
I have infiltrated orc places. I have killed people for him. I have even protected him at times, but
So
no one will ever know.
you have done his dirty work.
Yes,
You've received no recognition.
no, but then I did not expect any.
Curious.
So
I
why
am
turn your back on him?
Why turn my back?
Aye.
there are a variety of reasons.
Have you
Now-
turned your back?
At the moment, he has
A lot-
given me a charge. Hopefully that charge will take me away from here. I want to leave here at some time. And the only way I can see leaving is with my lady. If I am protecting her always, then I must go where she goes. But at the same time, she seems to be a good person. Also.
Well, I guess that fairly answers the question.
That's as good a reason as any.
And I'm going to make one more appeal to our lovely audience and mention that if you hadn't noticed, Barry Tahira here, who is playing Orikaw, does not have a nameplate on the screen, and that is because his normal character, Milford Brixton, has met his demise. And if you'd like to do something about restoring his character back to the world of Sidariel, you can spend your hard-earned divinity, which you can find by clicking on the little infinity symbol at the bottom of the chat, the little purple circle with the button thingy that does the thing that says divinity. That will open up a thingamajig that has Résurrection, 14 days left, 26% raised. Spend your divinity, raise that number, and assist Milford Brixton to come back to life, back to the game. The meta-narrative of the story here is that you, as viewers, are divine beings, and you have divinity. And as divine beings, you watch the world of Sidariel through the Weave, which is Twitch right now, and in this way, you can influence the story. So if you think you'd like to see Milford Brixton return to the story, having been killed so ignobly by falling into a portal to the Shadowfell, wasn't exactly the bravest death I've ever seen. Oops. Then, yeah.
Gee, thank you very much, and all.
She slipped.
Right. Spend some divinity. Do it. Make it so. If not, on the other hand, if you do not wish to spare Milford's life and you'd prefer to see Barry play Orikaw, at least for some time, until he falls and slips on a stone and dies from a bang on the head, then don't spend your divinity. It's up to you. But I'm just putting it out there. 26% raised. We saw a huge amount of divinity spent at the beginning of the game when we first announced this, and since then everyone's been sitting on their hands. Is that because they don't have any divinity? Now, typically you gain divinity just by watching the show, so you're going to have like hundreds of divinity if you've been watching for more than like half an hour or something. So, just saying, you can do it. Thank you very much. Now, it is in fact 10:22 p.m. We've gone 22 minutes over time. Gudael has slipped into a trance. She slipped into one of her visions. Her character is epileptic, essentially, and has these visions, you see, which is another kind of built-in narrative mechanic that we have. So I think here is probably the best point to end the story. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to do before we do that? Leith?
No, I don't think so.
You've been very quiet for a while. Edryn?
Yeah, I have. I feel like I kind of did my stuff at the beginning.
Okay. Edryn, you got anything you'd like to add at this point? No, you good?
I'm happy. I'm chipper.
You're chipper.
Chipper.
So he says.
Chipper. All right. And Barry, does Orikaw have anything he'd like to add to the narrative right now?
No.
You good?
No.
I would like to have Gudael here for the final moments, but it is getting quite late, and I do need to wrap it up. So we'll just have to imagine that she's here, and we'll say we'll pass on your goodbyes. Thank you all for watching, and yeah, have a great night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks for
Bye.
coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.